one desire, that if there is a Messiah, someday he'll hear their whispered prayer. Covered always there and scanty, 10 people in a one-bedroom shanty, forced to sell on the pavement, no vacancy, no employment, kettle fire cracker from gunshot, blood just flow when things get hot, afraid to look out the window, to hear voices from the ghetto, crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying, crying, voices from the ghetto, crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying, voices from the ghetto. Help us, Father. Mothers just hold it head and ball, and them woman stronger than a wall. A big pusher eyeing she daughter, son in jail for manslaughter. To buy for the and them black boys, no bail, that's the black man's choice. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. She little girl child belly start to swell. Some say life is a cycle, but a draw she no circle. Yeah, when it all can go in time to tell. Outside the siren keep howling, inside your belly will growling. Police raid very often, Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping, next night is a wake that you're keeping. So you're afraid to win the lotto, not to hear voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 voices from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying, crying, voices from the ghetto. We are not a forgotten people. Hear our prayer. With dented pride, they soldier on. Revolutions gave politicians born, and often their tragic story brings a journalist glory. No wonder they view the world with scorn. From since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust laws, but yet they christen the heroes, renegades, desperados, forever knocking on heaven's doors. Hear me? Still my music shatters the silence, harmony to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're tough protecting, almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow begs to tomorrow, there'll be another voice from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying, crying, yeah, voices from the ghetto. Crying, voices from the ghetto. Social amenities, Lord, heaven knows. Opportunities are them always close. Can't get what one said white collar, Satan is left inside. And every day is a hustle. Arguments are settling with muscle. And you're 6 feet deep by 3 feet wide. Children keep on drifting. It's something they're smoking or sniffing. Or maybe they're trying to forget this life of misery and regret. No one to come to their rescue except cable con and bourgeois. So their boom boxes there they go. The drum out voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 crying. Voices from the ghetto. Crying, crying, crying. Voices from the ghetto. I was born and bred in the ghetto. I'm from the ghetto. Voices from the ghetto.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good morning to all our country, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are. Well, of course, by now you would have detected that we have a slight issue this morning. Not to be overly concerned, except to say that, of course, Andy took in ill last night, so he is, of course, at the hospital at this point in time. I know that, of course, that will trigger a lot of concern among, of course, those who expect that we are some kind of machine, and even machines, of course, break down. But of course, that is how it is, and when that happens, of course, we have to make sure that there is a program, because this is crucial times. And so, of course, whilst he is in hospital, I will have to do the necessaries. I expect that Mickie may well join us a little earlier than normal, but I also know that he is engaged in some serious matters, because, as you know, it is not by accident we have been talking about the whole question of getting out there and making this government understand SOE or no SOE, and having regard to what they have said. But of course, we know that that may just be what I consider to be superficial and superfluous, as we have seen before. They never mean, of course, what they say, and it's always, of course, something sinister as far as the agenda is concerned. And that is to say, specifically, they say that, of course, people are allowed to gather, are allowed to protest, etc., even though, of course, they have suspended, of course, the fundamental rights of persons. In other words, give the police the right, of course, to mash up the place, in a sense. I mean, let's take it literally or figuratively. The fact of the matter is that we are in a state of emergency that has suspended certain, of course, fundamental rights that we would normally have: the right to speak, the right to move, and so on. And when, of course, we challenge that, let's see how they would respond. That being as it may, of course, a pleasant good morning to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, of course, as I said, Andy is now medical attention. In the hospital, but of course we will take your calls, etc. We have Martin is doing the honors this morning. Morning to you, Martin. Morning to you, Martin. Yes, indeed, of course, and he will, of course, be at the control, so to speak, at master control, and will be, of course, conveying the information, so that those of you who wish to call in, and of course we will be playing your voicemails as per usual. We are not going to in any way, of course, inconvenience you or indeed, of course, disrupt the format, except, of course, I love to say a pleasant good morning to all and sundry, East, West, North, of course. Andy will engage, of course, in the more, what I consider to be nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts, and the more granular, direct, of course, information. And it's part and parcel of a deliberate strategy to personalize the interaction, because this is an interactive program per se, and we always give way, of course, to those of you who wish to, of course, express yourself. After all, we are in this matter together. So while, of course, it is a program, it is also, of course, one that recognizes the need for people to vent, for people to air their views, and, of course, express their deep concern, because just as us here, on the ground report, we are similarly concerned, just as you, as to the direction of the country, and maybe that in itself provides us with an opportunity, of course, that the situation being as it is, to, of course, get not only our information out there and to ventilate, but also, of course, to solicit and suggest remedies, solutions to, of course, our democracy. After all, it is about, of course, government by the people, of the people, and for the people, and that is the essence of democracy. Of course, there are other parameters that one has to look at, such as, of course, transparency and accountability, because the bottom line is that democracy recognizes, of course, all the players, the human players in a society, and those who would have been given the opportunity via, of course, constitutional arrangement to manage our affairs. They cannot now believe that they can arrogate unto themselves some kind of dictatorial or autocratic or what I consider to be despotic position, and believe that they could impose and, of course, through the window, the rule of law, the separation of powers, and indeed ignore, of course, the judiciary and the fourth estate, meaning that the people like us, who, of course, are in the media, disseminating information that we believe, at the end of the day, must, of course, provide our residents and those who listen to us with vital information, armed with vital information, to make an informed decision as to who should be, of course, managing the affairs of the country at this time and, of course, into the future. And, of course, we know for sure that this administration has betrayed us. It is a most perfidious, a most disquieting, should I say, display of mismanagement, of inability to manage the affairs of the country, disappointment, and, of course, all of the issues that one could be considered anti-democratic, of course, managing the affairs of the country by, of course, through the process of manipulation, through the process of nepotism, through the process of cronyism, through the process of downright high-handedness. And I haven't said that, let me start, of course, this morning's issues with respect, of course, to the decision, the recent decision. Another one, of course, by the Privy Council. I say another in several specific contexts. The one with respect, of course, to suspending by this government of local government and, of course, local government elections, which, of course, the Privy Council decried and, of course, condemned the government for, of course, and very, very, very significant. In spite of these condemnations, in spite of this disapproval or disapprobation, what normally happens is that the Rowley administration, led by Rowley himself, will go to the Parliament, even at the floor of the Parliament, in that very hollow hall, that very sacred hall, that very, what I consider to be important institution, and tell us that they did not, of course, infringe, and they beg to disagree that they infringe on the Constitution or on our constitutional right. But yet still, the Privy Council is saying that you have taken away, as an executive, the right of the citizens to vote for who they wish. In that judgment, go back and look at it in that judgment that they gave with respect, of course, to telling Rowley and they that call the local government elections now, and now mean, of course, as soon as practicable, and of course, soon as practicable mean that you do not, of course, use obfuscative strategy to delay unnecessarily. And they had, of course, to conform, because that is our apex court, and they have adjudicated. Well, in the most recent iteration of that is that Imbert tried to, of course, prevent the Auditor General from pursuing a course of action to review his decision, and therefore the government's decision, that she should not, of course, go to the courts or apply to the courts for judicial review of his conduct, his and the government's conduct, his and the Ministry of Finance conduct, in terms of course, putting together a tribunal. He himself, whether he acting as Prime Minister at the time, is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that natural justice and fairness will not allow a situation where you, being the other player or one of the antagonists, if you want to call it that, in this particular case, you being on the other side, saying that you did not interfere with, of course, the material that ended up in the Parliament coming from the Auditor General in terms of the date, backdating dates and so on, and of course the missing 3 or 2 billion, depending on your perspective. But the fact is that is that kind of money we're talking about, serious money. And of course, that was on the income side, and on the expenditure side, you're talking about $1 billion that cannot be accounted for. And you want to set up not a tribunal, but an investigative team to look at as to what happened there and report to you. And the Privy Council, in this particular case, dismissing Imbert's appeal, said that we must take note because of this high-handedness and this, of course, anti-democratic stance, and this feeling that somehow that they are dictators and that this is not a democracy and there should be no check and balance. There is no control or no review of their conduct, because they have a slim majority in the Parliament, only 21 seats and 22 seats just before the death of Miss Julian. But the point about it is that of a 41 seat Parliament, you only had 21 seats or 22 seats, and getting on as though you have a landslide. But even in a landslide situation, the checks and balances, that is also a moral obligation. Yes, a moral position that any government must take. But we recognize that these people have no morality about them. It's about pure and unadulterated, raw and undiluted power that they seek. And they do it at any reckless and brutal cost. It doesn't matter to them, because they are in charge and large, and they put themselves, even though, of course, we see that there's a bunch of morons, a bunch of nincompoops. Yes, their commentary makes one want to puke, want to vomit. It's ad nauseum, sickening, when you hear them make excuses for the nonsense and trying to defend, of course, the indefensible. So the Privy Council has noted in a very important decision that was handed down, I think, yesterday, that listen, you, Imbert, want to institute a investigative committee to investigate the Auditor General and use the report as an opportunity to fire the Auditor General. That is what the Privy Council said. So they understood, whether directly or indirectly, what the plan is. And of course, anybody who have been monitoring this government will know about Rambaran, how they set up Rambaran, and the former governor of the central bank. Remember that incident? Very well orchestrated. The substantive president out of the country, the now president, who was president of the Senate, was acting president. But of course, a person who said that you want all of us must conform to the gospel of this evil entity called the PNM, and therefore must subscribe to the Bible, the devilish Bible of that entity. And she was acting president, and then of course they unleashed their original intent to get rid of Rambaran, the former, of course, governor of the central bank. And of course, he was the president. Of course, did what she had to do. The acting president at the time did what she had to do, and he was out of the office of governor of the central bank. And then, of course, when Rambaran took the matter to court, the court said that was infringement of his contractual arrangement, or the contractual arrangement with the governor of the central bank. That is no simple office. You cannot, by a stroke of the pen, and because you don't like a person, you simply, of course, infringe his rights, and they must take it because you have the state resources to expend profligately, wastefully on these matters. That is a singular case where anybody, any government engaged in that kind of conduct in a democracy must be jettisoned from office, must be dismissed immediately. But these immoral son of a guns will stay there, do that, and then move on as if it never happened. No, we have a duty and responsibility to tell you that Rowley and Imsworth and these fellas and women associated with the PNM are toxic. They are the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago's democracy, and clearly our economy, the way of life, our morals and ethics, our standard of living and quality of life. And if they remain there, they will continue with that high-handed, barbaric, ugly policies and programs, because suddenly they believe they're bright and they're smarter than everybody else because they have acquired what they wanted, the power, again, with a very tenuous number in the parliament. Very tenuous. And claiming to be, of course, this powerful entity. Why do you think they had to cheat at elections? Still trying, of course, to undermine the electoral process and our democracy. And we're going to see it unfolding in the next elections. Notice how they are going down to the wire. That's all right. We are long suffering, but as I said, and as we have been saying, that of course we have to show them that in spite of the SOE, in spite of that strategy to, of course, stay longer than that we would permit them to be, and because they have no moral and ethics and, of course, a standard of right and wrong. And as, of course, the famous Shakespeare play would say, Macbeth. Yeah. Fear is foul, and foul is fear. They do not know the difference between right and wrong. And we are seeing it right through. So this latest, of course, iteration coming out of the Privy Council stated no uncertain terms to listen. She has to, the Auditor General has to get her day in court. And of course, there is the other matter that they don't want, the government doesn't want to pay for her legal fees. So that's another matter that is also pending. And we will see how this thing pans out. Because the appeal court was in agreement with her that she should be, of course, be able to file for judicial review. Imsworth disagree, and therefore took the matter to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council agreed with the appeal court that she should have her day in court to review what Imsworth is saying. And as I said, they also mentioned that the intention, whether directly or indirectly, they were able to reveal the plot to get rid of her, because that report of that so-called investigative committee would have been used to, of course, trigger a certain section of the Constitution to get rid of the Auditor General. So well done, Privy Council. Well done, Privy Council. Well done, Privy Council, in defense of Trinidad and Tobago's democracy, the rule of law, and the high-handedness and the attempt by, once again by this government to, of course, impose their will that are unfair, wicked, diabolical, high-handed, and should not be countenanced or tolerated by any one of us. That's quite apart, of course, from the fact that what we are seeing now with the Donald Trump, should I say, executive orders to, of course, suspend funding. Of course, there's a court that gave them, I think, about a week or so to a suspension of that suspension. Let me put it that way, or suspension of that decision. But Trinidad and Tobago will be affected. But the point I am making here that immediately, if that comes to fruition, what you are going to see is a government that doesn't want to create anything to augment or expand our economy. They are about, of course, utilizing what is there left for our children and our children's children, the savings and so on, whether it's the Heritage and Salvation Fund, or whether, of course, it is our reserves. They will deplete that. They will sell out. They will, of course, give insider information to their 1% friends, and of course persons who are associated with them, whether it's financiers or otherwise, who they prefer and rather. And heaven knows what will happen. There's no plan what will happen when these things are exhausted. So we cannot afford the PNM. We cannot afford Rowley and whatever form the prime ministerial position takes, whether it's Young, whether it's Old, whether it's Rowley, whether it's Imsworth, it doesn't matter. The PNM is a criminal enterprise, clearly, and must now be relegated to the dustbin of political history. What they are going to do when these imposition materializes as a result of Trump's executive orders, they are going to increase taxes. They are going to fine taxes to impose on the people. And we must pay because they believe that they have a legal, what I consider to be the sword of Damocles hanging over our head. And that is to say, they have the right to find ways and means to sustain their existence as a government. And therefore, of course, will impose on the people. Reminiscent, of course, Louis and they, of course, that initiated the French Revolution. And of course, also, maybe the Boston Tea Party history, where, of course, you don't have the representation, you don't have the delivery, your circumstances are deteriorating, but they impose taxes. And therefore, of course, you cannot have taxation without proper representation. And proper representation here means a delivery to the people, augmenting, and that is the job. It's the first government I know in any part of the world, especially in the democratic world, where, of course, they take pleasure in hurting the people, in creating all kinds of evil to suffer people and to, of course, endanger their quality of life and standard of living, and then boast that they did well, and then expect, of course, to come back in government. It's the first time I've seen it. And I'm talking here specifically, of course, to places like the Laventils, yes, who believe that somehow you have an obligation to people who don't care about you, and that they expect you to vote for them because they see you as a voter bank, and because it's the PNM, you must, and you have been traditionally, of course, in support of them, that level of what I consider to be inconsiderate, or should I say suicidal loyalty, they expect, of course, will prevail. Because let's face it, you take Imbert, you take Rowley, you take Young, and let them form their own party and see if anybody voting for them. So we know that it's because of that traditional attachment as far as voting habit is concerned. That, of course, people in places like Glaverdale and so on remain loyal. Quite apart, of course, from the projection that is a black man party, is an African man party. Well, Dr. Rowley has, of course, exposed the fact that the black man, the so-called black man party propaganda is exactly that, propaganda. It is a process of brainwashing for many decades. And that conditioning of the African, especially along the east-west corridor where most of the constituencies resides, and of course the gerrymandering to accomplish that so that they could stay in office with this tenuous majority in the parliament. The EBC is not inclined to, of course, look at anything south of the Caroni, including, of course, deep south, to increase the amount of constituencies. No, they ain't doing that. The gerrymander, of course, that concentration of population along the east-west corridor, because they believe that the notion of a black man party, of an African man party, that the PNM was projecting. But I tell you now, examine your conscience, Africans in particular, and tell me if the anointing of Stuart Young represents that philosophy, that brainwashed scenario, that, of course, conditioning that Rowley in particular exploited. And don't tell me you don't understand what I'm talking about. Because, of course, before the last election, 2020 elections, he went up to Sandy Grande, the last meeting of the PNM, and then says, even though, of course, it was a very innocuous, a very, simple, not complicated ad of the UNC to show that they are more congenial and they are more people-oriented, and that they will, of course, address the question of poverty and put, of course, in a basket of food items, grocery items, including a bunch of bananas. And Rowley take out the bananas alone and totally poison the message and say that he is a what? He is a proud black man. That's what he telegraphed to the East-West Corridor and to Labre and to Point Fortin. He's a proud black man and he know what the banana mean. And he ain't no monkey, and the bananas is for monkey. And trying, of course, to appeal to the tribal and the race baiting scenario that, of course, he has thrived upon and exploited. And then, of course, the people in the southwestern peninsula who were, of course, devastated by the closure of a petrotrain that wasn't supposed to be closed in their interests. But he closed it down anyway and plunged, of course, the entire 65,000 persons in that part of the country into a state of mayhem, chaos, total unraveling of the socio-economic and psycho-cultural fabric of that area. And of course, families were disintegrated, and the suicide missions and all kinds of evil overtook and continue, of course, to overtake that part of the country. And in the interest, according to him, of national development and all kind of hogwash, because he had the 800 and something million to pay a bullet payment that could have easily been, of course, renegotiated. But the point I am making is that use the banana and the monkey talk to fool the African community. And today, he's imposing a Chinese fella. No kind of relations in terms of physical and or ethnic and genetic connection to the same black man, and telling us now that because he was what? He was accepted as chairman of the party and that, of course, he is a minister in the PNM government and trying to change the narrative. Well, if they love him so much, Rowley, then you should call a convention to, of course, promote him. The convention should have been, since they like him so much, according to you, you should call a convention to decidedly determine the leadership of the party. But no, you ain't do that. The intention, of course, is to try to hoodwink and deceive and to massage and to give the impression in the national community, because you know that it is 31 seats gone. 39 seats gone to the UNC. 39 seats. So you're trying to salvage now with that kind of deception and, of course, call some kind of make-believe facade, call a convention of the PNM and claiming to be, of course, what 67 or 69 years old, when you should be calling a convention to decide the leadership, since Stuart Young has been accepted as chairman of the party and all the kind of other positions that he would have taken, including, of course, at your behest, giving him a stint at the prime ministerial position when you are out of the country, as the case may be. We know, we understand. We will not be, of course, dissuaded, and the thing has come full circle, and we know who you are now. We know who the PNM is now, and therefore, of course, it is on its extinction bed to be relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country. My friend, we will open up the lines. I think we have established a signal from where I am in order for me to know that somebody is there, and then, of course, we will open up the lines to them. Of course, in the meantime, give us your voicemails, send us your voice notes, and we'll have it played. Maybe we will start with that voicemail just to make sure that we have the system going. Once again, of course, Andy went to the hospital not feeling well. He's still there from the last communication I made with him this morning. And but of course, he's not there, but I am taking up the challenge or the responsibility this morning to start the program. Hopefully, he may well be back after
Lennox,
the checkup before the program ends.
Lennox,
We have what? Yes.
phone numbers.
Oh, the numbers. Oh, yes. I was so unprepared that the numbers. Yes, let me just get. I'll have to get that on my system. Sorry about that. I should have been prepared for that. Yeah, but in the meantime, people, of course, we have some other matters that we would want to share with you, and of course, I'm sure your front burner will also give a rise to that. Let me just get the numbers for you so that you can call it. I'll have to get it off my computer. Yes, indeed. But we had to, of course, hastily move into action, and we had to improvise a bit in order to, of course, to have a program this morning on time as per usual. But of course, so there are some things we would have missed, obviously, because I didn't expect it. So you would expect that we would have some shortcomings. Let me just get those phone numbers for you. Ground report phone. Let me make sure and get that. I don't make sure. Yes, indeed. Yes, I'm trying to get that now. Why are you not getting it? Let's see something. All right, so yes, indeed. But in the meantime, of course, let me say that I am extremely concerned about the recent developments. I think we are yet to hear from, of course, the attorneys and or the Auditor General. But that is good news. Is a victory for democracy. Is a victory for, of course, the independence of institutions in this country. That, of course, the Rowley administration tried to malign, tried to undermine, tried to, of course, disgrace, try to render superficial and no effect, because they believe that they can arrogate unto themselves positions that was never contemplated, and the assumption would have been that people with high morals and ethics and a sense of right and wrong would of course occupy high office in this country. But clearly, when you have vipers and you have evil people, that is what is going to materialize. Of course, I saw another display of that yesterday in the Parliament, when of course I think a private motion was laid on in the Parliament in the upper house by of course Weed Mark, calling on the government to commit itself to of course parliamentary reform, and in 3 months' time to bring some kind of framework, legislative framework, to pursue that course of action. Well, of course, the Attorney General took the podium, let's say, what call it that, and started, of course, to regale us with all kinds of fantasies. And of course, while he was speaking, it reminded me only of one thing alone, and that is, of course, the court in the United States that said, don't come back here because you are a perjurer, a bloody liar. Well, I was seeing that as he tried to tell us all kinds of, give us all kinds of course, scenarios to suggest that the government, in fact, was pursuing and have been, of course, pursuing constitutional reform. When, of course, Remark was specific in terms of what he wanted to deal with, and that was to start with, of course, at least reforming the parliamentary process and making it a little more autonomous or independent. All right, okay, the numbers to call, people, I've gotten it now, of course, the numbers to call, 239-5120, 239-5120, or, of course, 225-6644, 225-6644. Of course, the WhatsApp number, I trust I have the right one. Yes, the WhatsApp number to call us at is 681-7832. 681-7632. I have a note here of the old number. I don't know if
it's 3 numbers. They can write it down one time.
Okay.
225. 225.
Just a minute. Let me just adjust myself here. Okay, let me just get this open up. Tell me, give me numbers.
225.
225, yes.
6644.
6644. Right, that's the first one. I got that one. Next one. The next one is what?
239.
239, yes.
5120.
5120. All right. And the WhatsApp?
And 366.
366.
3053.
Okay, 366 3053.
Yeah.
All right, good. People, of course, you might ask the question, well, why it is that I don't have it? Well, it is not normal for me to be announcing, pronouncing, or in any way, of course, making reference to these numbers, because Andy will be at master control, and he has control of all of the apparatus to communicate with you, and therefore, of course, there'll be no need for either me or Mikey, because we are in different places that we operate from, and joins, of course, the main, should I say, central operating facility, which, of course, Andy would normally be in charge of, and that is why I would not have offhand the numbers, and normally not have reason to, of course, make those announcements, except in circumstances like this. So once again, of course, the numbers to call us at, the lines are in fact open now, 225-6644, 225-6644, and the other number, of course, 239-5120, 239-5120, and then, of course, send us a voice note at 366-3053, 366-3053. Let me say for those of you who just joined us, well, Andy is feeling a bit better, so he is at a medical facility as we speak. And of course, during the course of the morning, he will be teaching. Yeah, we have a number. We have somebody in line.
Oh, not that number there.
Okay. All right, let me give you the numbers again. Just to conclude by saying that Andy feeling a bit under the weather, and he's now at a medical facility, and so of course we had to improvise in order, of course, to make sure that the program comes to you. As we always boast of being Boy Scouts, always ready in case of whatever circumstance. So this is a circumstance that requires that alternative to be effected, and that is what it is this morning. So the numbers to call 225-6644, 225-6644, 239-5120. Even if it's to ask for a speedy recovery for Andy, whatever the situation is. And of course, I want to tell Ms. Valsin in the process that our prayers go out to you as well, ardent caller who is suffering from, I understand, last stage, if you want to call it that, cancer. I call it that, but I know that it might be a different term. Of course, and the WhatsApp to send your notes, 366-3053. 366-3053. If you can, my friend.
You have a call coming in.
All right, okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Lennox. Good morning, Lennox. Good morning, Andy, Mickie, newbie and the new guy here. Good morning to everybody. And I wish Andy a speedy recovery this morning. And also Ms. Valsin, a speedy recovery as well. Now, Lennox, you are the Energizer Bunny, Lennox, I don't know where you get this energy from. Here, the man, you went late last night, and I know, like me, you just have to do your little research and everything, because you don't just want to come here and talk, and people say you're talking nonsense, because they love to tell you that. They love to tell us that, right? That we come, we like to talk nonsense.
You must address yourself. So you could respond appropriately.
Yes, exactly. And very well, we respond appropriately, right? Off the bat, we know how to answer them. And they they want to come and tell you're talking about bringing up old thing, and they like to talk about old thing. But it's the old thing, it's like they don't know the saying that when you forget your past, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And we don't want to repeat anything. Exactly, Lennox. And we have to remind the people what this government has done to us, right? Look at what happened with him, but now again, and the Auditor General, and yesterday they're denying, I guess the Privy Council is most probably UNC. Right? So and yesterday they're denying and they're saying no money missing and we lying. And now the new one is the new drum that they're beating now is that Monila lied about passengers, the searches of passengers and them. They're not there. They're not
for their own inadequacy.
That's what
that's what lies about. That's propaganda.
Yeah, but you see, Lennox.
We need to let them know.
Yeah, but you see, Lennox. Right, but you see, as only last night I was in a conversation with somebody very long. That is why I came on kind of late on your program, right? It was a very long and interesting conversation. And you see, I always talk about sowing the seeds of doubt, right? And we spoke about that last night because what the person is telling me, PNM are sowing seeds, and if we don't put a stop to it, right, it is going to mushroom into a forest, and we don't want that. And I'm going to say it again, Lennox. I am a Lone Ranger. I don't want anybody to come and tell me what I should be talking about and what I should not be talking about. You talk what you want to talk about. You bring up issues what you want to bring up issues. But don't come and dictate my piece. Don't come and do it. Because everybody has a role to play. And if I forget something, somebody else will remember, and so on and so on and so on, right? But don't come and tell me.
Interactive, interdependent.
Exactly.
Some scenario towards one purpose. an evil group of persons
Right.
that have captured government
Yeah.
and mismanaged our affairs. Yeah.
And if I feel to talk about Stuart Lal Bihari, I will talk about Stuart Lal Bihari. Don't come and tell me not to talk about him. Don't come and tell me not to talk about the Chinese man. Because we are seeing two different scenarios playing out here, Lennox. Right? We are the Chinese Association pushing the agenda that he's a Chinese Prime Minister. Right? And then we have Rowley on the other side talking about his Lal Bihari trace roots, right? And that is the agenda, as you said this morning, Lennox, with the bananas.
Yes.
That is what they did in the last election. Rowley, right. I tell you that like that man, have only eyes for race, right? You didn't see anything else in that basket but 2 bananas. I come in to tell we that we know who does eat bananas. Lennox, I love bananas. We have to eat bananas for the potassium. Right? My dogs love bananas. My parrot love bananas. You understand? So they come and telling me about only monkey does eat bananas. And that is what they ran with. And we must sit down in this rounds and don't say nothing. No. You want to talk about what you want to talk about, because I never know some of these people who dictated the pace. Kamala, that they are Kamala Facebook campaign team. I didn't know that, Lennox. I didn't get no memo. You hear? And was there an issue? Yeah. Was there an issue?
PNM, we know that we have to tell the unsuspecting and those who are undecided that is what to do not believe a single thing that these people say. Or at least check it or take it with a huge dose of salt. Go ahead.
Take it with a 40-foot container load of salt. Right? And Lennox, let me tell you something. The only way that Rowley could get at these people with his race talk is when your mind is weak. When your mind weak and you're a racist, right? That is how Rowley's going to get at you. But I'm going to quote something from my friend Houston Georgie of Tobago. A racist is a spiritually and morally bankrupt individual. Lennox, you hold on that fort. I know you're going to hold it down good and proper, and you take care. And again, I want to wish Andy and Miss Valsin a speedy recovery. Take care and have a good morning, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. Of course, that's a good quote for the day. Of course, a racist is a morally and spiritually bankrupt individual. Boy, and I probably I could add to that by saying they are usually, of course, exhibit vacuous statements that really actually has no relationship with reality. We have seen that, of course, with Rowley and, of course, his ministers. And, of course, it's convenient. Just tell me if there's another caller, I will give way, my friend. But clearly, the hypocrisy continues, and we have seen it, of course, when he announced the non-closure of Petrotrain, and then, of course, it was closed. Obviously, I think that is now history. We have seen him, of course, saying that he will not interfere with property tax in 2015. The opposite is the case. That too is now history. He told us, of course, that subsidies and therefore the rise in, of course, fuel and therefore the cost of living in the country. He was so concerned in opposition, but when he got into government, well, of course, they went as far as to say that they raised it once and they raised it twice, and of course, they started to laugh and, of course, making a mockery of the population, and of course in the process insulting our intelligence. But with this banana as well, that too was subjected, of course, to what I consider to be a reversal, the antithesis, the opposite scenario when it was convenient and when the situation presented itself. And where was that? When he announced the SOE for what? For COVID. Remember the SOE COVID? He said that if you have 2 bananas, you know what I say? If you have 2 bananas, go and check it. Me asking all you to believe me, because of course the propaganda and apologists out there will want to say otherwise. So you go and check it, especially those on the side or undecided or still have some kind of residual sympathy for these people, because the country you save will be your own, and the reason for so doing, you must be convinced yourself, as we are, because we have done our fact checking. When he wanted to introduce an SOE, when he said that SOE is a last resort and that the PNM will not resort to an SOE, I ain't talking about the one that we are in right now, I ain't talking about that, I'm talking about the one for COVID. After he told us that at the beginning that we were number one in the world, that we had a parallel health system, and of course, eventually, of course, some 5,000 persons died as a consequence. 5,000 persons died, people, as a consequence of COVID. And then then at the beginning they tell us don't wear masks, and then of course they make regulations now, and they putting people in jail for, of course, not wearing masks or social distancing, as the case may be. They told us all of that in the beginning. In other words, I want to show you a pattern of behavior, of lies and deception, and you still studying what Rowley and they say. You should not. And the latest, of course, as I said, is trying to foist a Chinese man on us, and totally, of course, debunking the notion that, of course, the PNM is a black man party, which, of course, he used with the first banana episode. Well, in the second banana episode, when he wanted to introduce the SOE for COVID, he said, if you have 2 bananas, you would want to share it with somebody, in other words, who doesn't have, because of course he understood that they have, of course, drove Trinidad and Tobago into a state where, of course, people had nothing, in spite of the fact that over $22 billion was allocated, the major part of which was supposed, of course, to tide people over that period of the COVID, and it has simply disappeared, evaporated. They cannot comfort. But he's telling you to introduce a state of emergency, that if you have 2 bananas, you will do well to share it with your friends. Why? Because they have taken from us, they have stolen from us our $22 billion. Can't comfort. And then, of course, want you and I, in spite of all of the trauma and the drudgery and the threats that went with it, under the guise that they are saving us, that they are concerned about us. And we are yet to know, and don't be surprised if that unaccounted for $2 or $3 billion, it doesn't matter, it's big money we're talking about. Whether it's 2 or 3, it's big money. That is, 2 or 3 is not the issue. The issue is big money. That, of course, the Auditor General is steadfastly defending her position on the matter. Don't be surprised if, of course, all of that disappearance of the COVID money may have trickled down into, of course, this scenario 3 years later, because the COVID started, of course, in 2020, in essence. The virus I'm talking about here now. We have another call? Yes, indeed. Of course, as I said, I will pause. I normally would have a communication problem with our central thing. I don't know if it's my system or what, or the internet. So from time to time, I may have a slowing down, not a slowing down really, but audio problem. So let me know that, and from time to time, my friend in studio, you can test it to make sure that I'm on the ball and that I'm not over speaking or over speaking over anybody else that may be on the line. But of course, the lines are open. 225-6644. 225-6644. We admit
it's working, but no call coming in.
Okay, but no call coming in. All right, good. All right, so the numbers to call, people, of course, Andy is seeking medical attention at this time. Those of you may wish to call him directly. I know some of you will have his number, but of course, to find out what is happening, or you can just call us here to find out what because the show has to go on and work has to be done. 225-6644, 225-6644, and of course 239-5120, 239-5120. Of course, the WhatsApp, your voicemails, 366-3053, 366-3053. I don't know what mechanism you would have put in studio to deal with that, but if you can check to see if we have any voicemails, we probably could go to voicemails at this point in time. Just give me an indication and I will, of course, accommodate. So yes, so once again, of course, the numbers to call, the phone lines are open. 225-6644, 239-5120. Yes, indeed. So the point I was making about the hypocrisy and the reversal and what is most despicable, what I consider to be indignant, what is most self-serving, what is most disrespectful, what is most dishonest and dishonorable is that when the reality strikes, when the population without doubt would have been conscious, would have become aware of the shenanigans of this government, they then of course try to deflect attention by talking about Kamala, talking about UNC, or they introduce a new program that in the beginning sounds good, and then in the fullness of time, when it was supposed to deliver a benefit to the population, they then make another excuse and then move on to the next one. We saw it with sandals, for example. We saw it with the Sea Bridge, for example. The Sea Bridge is a classic case, and that's why Tobagonians are up in arms against the PNM, because here it is, not only did they destroy, we have one? Oh, not only did they destroy the Sea Bridge and plunge Tobago into economic and social downward spiral, but when they eventually got the two boats, the first one, we only tell people, but listen, during COVID,
we have a call coming in.
We have one? Go ahead, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yes.
Sorry about the inconvenience and the...
No, that's no problem.
Yes, okay.
I don't know if you guys remember when Trump was in power the last time, there was a female PNM minister who stood up, I'm not sure if it was in Parliament, and she stood up and said, what Trump could do, I don't know if anybody knows that.
Yes, it was in Parliament, ma'am, and she is the leader of government business, and she said that she made her statement. You are so right. That could be easily fact-checked. Yes,
if you guys have the clip, you should play it. Play it all the time for them. Now they can see what Trump can do us. Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ridiculous. So they spit in the sky all the time, and it falls in their pieces. That's it. We have another one?
No, we have another call.
We don't have another one. People, don't forget, of course, the lines are open. Don't forget, I will have to repeat it as regular as I can. Andy is feeling under the weather. He sought medical attention since last night, and he's still, of course, at the medical facility. And as a consequence, of course, his absence on the program this morning. But we have a program. We have a mission of course, making certain that the people do the right thing with the proper information at the right time in their best interest. And certainly, of course, what we are saying is that the PNM has now and ought now by now to become persona non grata. They have, of course, deceived us in multiple and manifold and, of course, many parts, ways, and should now be should be the beginning of relegating them now that we have the opportunity. This is an election year. They must call the elections, reluctant as they may be. they may want to be. We have seen that, of course, by going right up to September. They are having, of course, their convention in September for leadership, when in fact, of course, what transpired, I think, Sunday gone or Saturday, as the case may be, should have been, of course, an election for that, because what came out of that, I don't know whose money. And don't be surprised if it's your money and my money to spend at Napa to, of course, host that PNM event. That's a PNM event. That has nothing to do with us. But we have seen that, of course, when Rowley converted, of course, his local government campaign, when in St. James, members of the PNM start to shout out in a PNM meeting, you just lie, you just lie. He then converted it, of course, to a meet the people campaign by the Prime Minister, and clearly utilizing public funds in order to initiate that attempt to salvage the obvious dismay and the disgruntlement of the PNM membership, and of course at the grassroots level, clearly rank and file. So of course, I would not be surprised if the same scenario took place in acquiring Napa, but more significantly, clearly it was a capricious or a sudden or a knee-jerk exercise intended, of course, to project unity and to voice, of course, Stuart Young on the party itself first and foremost. So we are not convinced that Young is any person qualified enough to be the Prime Minister that we would like at this point in time, and therefore, of course, I know the people's minds are made up, but of course, the first port of call would have been to convince the rank and file and those, of course, in the PNM. But of course, he did an awful job, because the fact of the matter is that in foisting him and in foisting Stuart Young of Chinese origin on the people, having, of course, said from time immemorial that the PNM is an African man party, tried to foist a Chinese man on them. Here it is. He made the argument that Stuart Young held certain offices within the PNM, whether it be chairman, etc., and even act as Prime Minister. They be pointed that you hold a special convention to treat with that, and claiming, of course, it is on their anniversary. But we know it's just a camouflage to, of course, try to voice him. Well, I want you to question now, why didn't he call a special convention to determine convincingly, finally, without question, the leadership of the party, to see if put to a vote, one man, one vote. As he said, he's a Democrat, and introduce one man, one vote. We know now that is another piece of Dr. Rowley's, what I consider to be shenanigans, and of course, attempt, of course, to fool the people, because he is no Democrat. It is clear, and that was just a gesture to make it look as though he is a Democrat when he introduced one man, one vote. He claimed that. But today, he's foisting, of course, a leader on the party. He's forcing them to take it. And there are certain things that we heard, we can't verify, because, of course, the meeting was a closed door one. But there are certain people who didn't like what transpired in that meeting and were part and parcel of the meetings. And they told us, but we will reveal that in due course. I will reveal some of it on the corridor transformation in the night. But it wasn't nice because he literally, of course, turned beasts inside of there, and of course threatened persons to take away their 30 pieces of silver. By, of course, calling an early election, and of course people showing by standing up visibly to show if they are opposed to his anointed. That is what transpired. That is not the conduct of a democratic person who has a appreciation for, of course, democracy, fairness, and of course the principles that, of course, the majority must have their way, whilst, of course, the minority will have their say. No. That is not too wrongly at all. Rank and unadulterated, bombastic, and of course, opportunist, but a dictator, autocrat, and a person who, of course, does not appreciate the principle. We see that, of course, in his public conduct as Prime Minister, whether, of course, wanting to deal with Gary Griffith, he then, of course, make an intervention in the shortlist that was supposed to be on its way to the Parliament, and was prepared, of course, to expose himself to criminal liability. Let me repeat, to criminal liability, and that will come in due course, I'm sure, when the Kamala Prasad-Bissessar administration gets back into office. Because these matters must be, of course, critically and, of course, should I say, incisively examined for the misbehavior in public office. We have a caller, President. Good morning. We have a caller. I don't know if it's
No, we don't have a caller.
Okay, all right. Yeah, just when I ask, just try to, because sometimes I would the audio may just lapse a little bit there, and therefore so when you hear me ask whether or not there's a caller, just do exactly what you did there so I could continue. So don't forget, people, the lines are open. Andy is under the weather, is feeling under the weather. He is at a medical facility. I don't want to say which of it, because I'm responsible for security purposes among us, and that is why, of course, we operate from different parts of the country on the mornings, because we understand the enemy we are dealing with, and they will spare nothing, of course, to do harm to us in more ways than one. They have, of course, tried that with respect, of course, to the medium through which we would communicate with you, and you communicate with us. And therefore, but of course, if the physical persons are not around, then of course the entire effort, this revolution of making certain that the PNM does not return to office, we did our job in Tobago. Of course, we told everybody, forget the NACTA polls.
You have a voice note.
We have a voice note. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, yeah, so Lennox is talking about the banana thing, and he's talking about the structuring thing, and there's a massive connection between the two. What that episode should tell you and convince you is that the politicians in Trinidad and Tobago are experts at making politics about love and hate. Now, this is general what politicians do, but in Trinidad and Tobago, they are expert at making politics about love and hate for the general public, to allow their finances to exercise the fact that politics is really about ideology and interests. While all they out here loving and hating each other, the finances are seen to their interests. So you had the banana thing in the UNC ad, and they jumped on that, and people seemingly were incensed by it. Then Rowley said his banana thing, but there was a third episode. A lot of people forget. The PNM Family Day at St. George Fifth Park, they had a skit where they had a woman wearing a yellow sari, and she was accosted by a bunch of monkeys, but they were red monkeys. They're actually pink. You know our traditional monkey mask, where the costume, they jump around and act like monkeys, but the monkey suit is normally black, right? Significant there, but it was dyed to look red, but it turned out pink. But anyhow, these monkeys will accost this yellow sari wearing woman, and unravel her, like undress her basically, and she would beneath it be wearing a red suit, a red clothes, right? So in fact, they turned the UNC to PNM, right? Everybody, hooray. Now, besides the fallout that came from whether knowing or unknowing, I think they knew that was basically from a Hindu story where a woman, I think it's the wife of was kidnapped and accosted by monkeys, basically. Besides that, people didn't, well, I don't know, people psychologically did not see that as the PNM themselves. Not saying we gave them banana, so we call them monkey. The PNM in their own skit, on their own stage, was suggesting to the PNM crowd that monkeys, red PNM monkeys, right? So there's a cognitive dissonance, a powerful, that's exactly how powerful this love and hate thing is. They saw the banana in the UNC ad, but it didn't see the red PNM monkey in the PNM skit. That's the power you're playing with here. And this is why I firmly believe, I disagree with you, Lennox, that this whole Stuart Young thing is not going to impact the strong PNM voters at all. They're going to vote as well. So this election is going to be very close. And what Kamala Persad needs to do is to find a reservoir of new voters. Sure, her voters are locked, the PNM voters are locked.
You have another one?
Morning, Andy, Lennox and Mickie. Lennox, I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When
sorry,
the UNC
is
takes
it
charge
live or
and they have
no?
enough to change the constitution and whatever, is there any way they can readjust the boundaries? And what they can do is also minus some of those seats from the East-West corridor and put them like Siparia. A lot of people should want to have a lot of people, way more than combined. Some of the 2-3 seats in Port of Spain. Can they do that? Can they realign the whole boundary? Because the way it's not meant to be, we need to change it up. Can they do that? Minus a few seats instead of having Diego Martin East, West, North, South, Port of Spain, East, West. Just have Port of Spain East and North, East and West, Diego Martin North and South. That's it. You know what I mean? And then make it like that. And minus some of those, after 3 seats, take it away from the East-West corridor. You have the Constitution, you could change it once you have it. Put some more seats in for us. And Siparia need more seats down. South need more seats. You know? There are more people living in the South than the East-West corridor now. So they can they do that? I think they can. Okay, and later. You know, Mickie, I listened to the Senate yesterday. I was watching it a little bit when I get home from work. And I listened to this woman, Sindura, talk on the CNN. Sindura. Woman. God, that woman could be elbows. That woman have a heavy voice. And they say when a woman have a big mouth, you know what he have? A big what? You know what? That would be huge, because she mouth huge. And big and loud. You want to have obnoxious. I don't know who the hell is that girl, mother or father. But boy. And she makes no sense at all. A lot of nonsense. Comes out of she mouth. A big hole in her face, wherever the hole is. Oh, brother. Take care of me, right?
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. I hear you. You tell me when we come to an end.
Good morning, Andy. I'm facing a lot of backlash for my removal of aid to countries around the world right now. But I'm reviewing America's aid policy, and within 3 months, it's going to be back again. Everything is being reviewed, and who, where, and what America gives aid to will be determined then. I know this P&M government doesn't like me or my administration. They never congratulated me when I took office last Monday. I'm no fan of Dr. Raleigh and his P&M government also. I saw how they supported Maduro, especially when he lost elections fairly. They recognized him as president of Venezuela. Well, I hope for Dr. Raleigh and his P&M party's sake that everything he did to get that Dragon gas deal was above board. I'm looking forward to working with Kamala Persad, when she becomes Prime Minister. So Andy, let's work together for a better world, and let's save the good people of TNT from this wicked PNM government. Remember, yellow is the code, people, and let's all be safe out there today.
Yes, and
Andy, good morning again to you, and I wish you a speedy recovery, Lennox, Mickie, and to the technicians and everybody out there. What happened here? See 3 voice notes coming through for me because those that were not played yesterday, I resent it, but I didn't realize that you had gotten sick this morning. Anyway, Lennox, what I wanted to tell you, the man said that if you have 2 bananas, you eat one, you save one, and you share one with your friends. You see why 3.2 billion gone missing? Because if you have 2 bananas, how could you share a 3rd one? Remember, this is the same man who said, we will cross the I's and dot the T's. This is the same man, right, who said half of 180 is 140. And then all you want to know why the economy is in that state? That is PNM maths for you. And they laugh and they clap, right? That half of 180 is 140. I am telling you, no wonder we are in this mess. They only know how to thief. That's all they could do. Thanks a lot, Lennox.
Very interesting indeed. Very interesting, people. Very interesting. Keep sending your notes. Just tell me when we would have exhausted those notes. Once again, of course, people, Andy is under the weather. Go ahead. That's it?
Having a recovery, Andy. Not affected volume in
you're sounding like a voice note. Is you there? What are you saying? Go ahead. Oh, fix my volume. Oh. So. All right, let me see. Testing 1, 2. All right, looking good. All right, am I all right there? I should be all right there. It should be all right there. Should be all right, yes, testing, yeah. Tell me, I'm waiting for feedback. I'm waiting for feedback. And let me check again.
Go ahead. Go ahead, go ahead.
All right, am I on? Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that's for that. Let me just put back
We're not seeing the picture of them.
All right, good. I'm gonna put on that now. I have to reboot. So we are right now?
Yeah, we are ready now.
Okay, right. Thanks very much, my friend. Of course, once again, people. Of course, Andy is feeling under the weather, so he is at a medical facility right now since last night, and of course, as a consequence, his absence, and so we have a programmer that, of course, would just be at least in the starting part of it. Yours truly. I am not aware if we are on Gael as yet. We should be on Gael by now, but out of an abundance of caution, just in case, of course, welcome to the Gael viewers, and of course, up the Caribbean, Gael, of course, the Caribbean, as we, of course, expand our coverage, to put it in perspective, and of course another platform that you can, of course, utilize. Of course, you can get it on as well on Real Media TT. Don't forget, you can tune in there or log in there, and you can log in, of course, on the Workers' Rights platform as well. I think yesterday I might have rectified the Corridor Transformation platform as well. So you have some choices, but we continue, of course, to treat with the issues of the day. Don't forget, of course, the numbers to call: 225-6644, 225-6644. Excuse me. And 239-5120, 239-510. And you want to send us a voice note because you're a bit shy, or you prefer to sip a cup of coffee and gather your thoughts, and then, of course, put it very compendious, very short, but nonetheless, of course, you will be able to participate through that mechanism as well. So that number, 366-3053. Let me repeat, of course, WhatsApp, yes, WhatsApp only, 366-3053. Let me repeat that again. Those of you who want to see
voice note only on WhatsApp.
Yeah?
Voice notes only on WhatsApp.
Only on WhatsApp, yes.
Yeah, voice notes.
366-3053. Only on WhatsApp, right? 366-3053. Only on WhatsApp, that voice note. The regular calls, of course, 225-6644, 225-6644. And, of course, the other number, 239-5120. 239-5120. I took note, of course, in those plethora of voice notes earlier. Mr. Nobody, he likes to call himself, I think is a fair name. If you wanted to be, of course, clandestine, or you don't want it to be called out, and nothing wrong with that. This is a democracy. That's your choice. But of course, he said that maybe that the introduction of this Chinese fella called Stuart Young as the leader, even though it would have, of course, gone to the core of the deception that the PNM has promoted in terms of conditioning the African community, and he says that, of course, the core of the party will not gravitate. That's his view. Well, I wasn't speaking to the core of the value of the party. I was speaking, of course, to the generic deception that will now be recognized for what it is, a deception. The PNM is not, of course, by that gesture. That therefore now becomes a misnomer, and I'm sure that whether they are diehard PNM or non-diehard, I think all of them would have noticed that, and therefore I don't think they are as blind as one would think. And why am I saying that? Well, there is precedent for that. 1986, it was 33-3. And of course, the notion, among others, there was the perception that the PNM was not a corrupt party, etc. But when Desmond Carty, people like him, who said, all are we thief, of course, that became, of course, a central theme for, of course, getting rid of, apart from, of course, all of the should I say, poor delivery that is the case now. In other words, I'm seeing all of the ingredients in the Rowley administration over the last 10 years to suggest, and that is why, of course, I upgraded my own position on the 27, move from 27 seats in favor of the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa to, of course, 39. And and while of course I don't want to blow my own trumpet or tie my own lapel, so to speak, I want to say that of course even the NACTA poll, when they said that in Tobago it's a close finish, and all these kind of what I consider to be rhetoric, it turned out of course that we were totally correct, and they're lucky they get a seat at all, because we were saying 15 none. So not to say that I would be correct on this occasion, but certainly all the ingredients are there for a flawless, I should say, victory for the UNC in Trinidad, of course, because of course they are not contesting in Tobago, and I expect a clean sweep in Trinidad, in spite of course all of the shenanigans. The fact that he has been able to deceive the rank and file, and then of course generate a bogus convention stated that of course commemorating 69 or 67 years of existence is irrelevant. Frankly, the intention was of course to foist this fella on them, recognizing that of course there was an internecine or should I say internal implosion over the matter of the PNM. And as I said, there are certain pieces of information that came to us that transpired inside of that meeting, that firstly in Tobago, and then of course at that what I consider be blood money monstrosity called Balize House. Blood money Balize House. Yes, when of course it moved from what 11 9 or something like that to of course 21 all, and of course clearly it shows that there was some wringing of hands and some cajoling and some coercion in order of course to make that happen. So it is in that context I have rest my case. It is unorthodox, I agree. It may come out of the normal trend, but of course we have seen it happen, even though from time to time it may be deemed an aberration what transpired in Tobago, but it transpired in Trinidad in 1986, where of course the PNM lost, should I say, egregiously with of course 33-3. And of course I always mention that of course the places like Laventille, who failed to be part and parcel of the historic event on that occasion, I am of the view that they will want to be part and parcel and on the right side of history on this occasion, having regard that over the years they were told that of course this is a African man party and therefore the opportunities for Africans. But in addition to that, of course, I think that the PNM owes Laventille, having regard to the fact that it was Laventille that saved them. Forget, of course, San Fernando East. That was as a result of the magnanimity of Robinson, because if a recount was done in San Fernando East, as was in one or two of the constituencies, I'm sure Manning would have been then a part of the history and not, of course, live on to, of course, form the government in 1991, after, of course, the NRI demitted office. But the fact of the matter is that the perception that the PNM is an African man party, I think has been scuttled, has been, of course, destroyed, has been decimated. And yes, you're going to have the hang-ons, if you want to call it that, those that are recalcitrant, those that are not going to want to face the reality simply because they are eating from the trough of the, should I say, the poison trough of the PNM, utilizing, of course, our state resources to pursue their agenda. But I am talking about the wider national community who might have been sympathetic to the PNM because they believe, of course, in the tribe, as was, of course, demonstrated in that so-called monkey and, of course, banana scenario. And then, of course, it was then contradicted during the introduction of the SOE for COVID. So those are the building blocks that would tell me that no, there is something afoot, and that on this occasion, I think Laventille would want to be part and parcel and be on the right side of history on this occasion. After all, they have been betrayed by the PNM, having, of course, been the flag bearer, so to speak, was the tower of resistance when, of course, the PNM won handsomely in these two constituencies, and therefore saved the PNM from total demise. And here it is, of course, over the years, they have been, they continue, of course, not only to be neglected, but has emerged as the place where one can clearly state that advisories against Trinidad and Tobago affecting, of course, our economic expansion, our opportunities for employment, etc., and investment. These advisories against us say don't go to Laventille, don't go to Nelson Street, etc. You have that, but then you continue to have, of course, higher than national average murders, higher than national average school dropouts, higher than national average truancy, higher than national average young girls, of course, becoming pregnant, higher than national average female single parents, higher than national average students, not of course at least coming out with full certificates, higher than national average, of course, poverty, and of course higher than national average crime and criminality, higher than national average, of course, neglect of infrastructural development or enhancement, and we can go on and on. So and I want to tell people, do not underestimate what we are doing here. You see, the PNM do not have all the trump cards simply because social media has democratized the information dissemination mechanism, not just here, but certainly it is being used to full effect in Trinidad, of course. And if you get us vexed, we have a midday program and we have a midnight program, and until, of course, because of course they are going to continue with spending our money on the traditional media, but the traditional media take their news from us. We know that, and therefore is a new revolution as far as information dissemination is concerned, and therefore the propaganda that the PNM thought that it would have had. Notice why I think he had to call a sudden so-called special convention, because we were able, of course, to see through the shenanigans of course, a 11-9 scenario, or 10-9 as the case may be, in Tobago, and then, of course, a closed-door arrangement where 21 came up in support of Stuart Young, and that was not sufficient, because, of course, the skepticism and the doubt that created meant that they had to show some kind of coalescing, some kind of unanimity, some kind of mending of the divide, and therefore, of course, they had to hastily organize a convention. But of course, in doing so, they have, of course, shot themselves in the foot, so to speak, still on that score, because if it is, you call it clearly to, of course, promote and to voice Stuart Young, and to, of course, commend him, and to demonstrate to the population that all is well in this, what I consider to be bestial arena called the PNM. Yeah, bestial arena called the PNM, by, of course, promoting unity and harmony, and of course giving awards and so on. The fact of the matter is that if you could have done that, and the fundamental issue would have been, of course, the leadership of the party, and coming out of Tobago, that is why, of course, there was a divide. There was, of course, a non-unanimous decision made in favor of Stuart Young. Then one would have expected, if you're calling something as powerful as a convention, which is the highest form or decision-making body in the party, in the PNM, then you should have called, of course, a leadership contest. That is what you should have called, and not wait until September. And so we have a job to tell the population, to tell the rank and file, to tell those on the sides that there is something more in the motor than the person that is sinister. And that is, it was designed, all of that elaborate charade was merely, of course, to foist a person who under normal circumstance, couldn't even see the daylight as far as the leadership of the PNM is concerned. That is what we know. So, once again, of course, the numbers to call 225-6644, 225-6644. Yes, social media has been there first. And of course, in this case, the ground report, you heard it first on. And that is what is the conversation out there. Why? Because we are closer to the ground than anybody else. And therefore, we say with dignity, pride, and with honor, and with, of course, assurance and authority, that when we, of course, organized the pushback movement, and we had pushback 1, pushback 2, pushback 3, pushback 4, and they trembled. It was like a tremor. It was like well, should I say, a pestilent for them. When, of course, people started to shout out the 5,000 and the 9,000 that gathered around the savannah, and of course, they started to shout out, Rowley must go, Rowley must go. They couldn't take it, and therefore, of course, we were tear gassed. But, of course, that didn't stop us. And we continue, of course, not to be stymied or in any way, succumb to, of course, that level of what I consider to be despicable leadership within the PNM that has morphed into a criminal enterprise. You just have to watch, of course, at the construction of that monstrosity called the Balize House, mortar, steel, and other material. And you want to tell me that you were able to conjure up or to find that money in 10 years' time when you started off with a deficit of $5 million in the red? Come on. Yes, indeed, of course. So the lines are open. I thought I should, of course, in the meantime, once again, Andy is under the weather. He went to seek medical attention last night, and I spoke to him this morning, and of course, we put this thing together to make certain that, of course, you get your fair share, and that does not take away, in essence, of course, your favorite program on morning, the ground report. The numbers to call once again, 225-6644, 225-6644, 239-5120, 239-5120, and of course, WhatsApp only, your voicemail, 366-3053, 366-3053. And of course, we want to thank, of course, the technical man in the studio for, of course, coming at such short notice to respond to this situation that we have found ourselves, without which, of course, we would not have been able to deliver to the people this morning, this Wednesday morning. We have a call there, or we have voicemails. Any one of them, we will accommodate.
Morning, Lennox.
Yes, good morning.
Well, I want to say a pleasant good morning to each and every one of the ground reporters, supporters, and the wider world. The pushback movement has made Mr. Report.
Yes.
I want to say something, Lennox.
Right.
We have to change Balize House now to the Tiffin Palace.
All that.
Right? That is not a house anymore. And I don't know, boy. I don't know what to say with the PNN supporters. They have belly, they have belly more than Calabash. They're suffering. They're seeing what happening in this country. Yes, hear what happened, eh? Yes, I am at UNC. Yes, UNC thieves, but hear what happened. UNC thieves so much. They build hospital, they build police station, they build school, they give laptop, they give migrant, you name it, they give all kind of things. The PNM thief at all, and they giving nothing. and only disaster, disaster after disaster. The first thing I could remember the PNM start with is closing down the railway transport. And after that, we had the old sugar industry here. The amount of sugar Trinidad using now, Carolina Limited could not have produce that amount of sugar. You close it down. We had oil. We had the old oil refineries. And you close down that and you tell the people you close down the refinery to buy gas. We have a pitch lake, but we don't know where the pitch lake gone. And Mr. Port of Spain, they have a Chinatown street in Port of Spain where the African street or the African Avenue, and you say nothing Port of Spain, and a caller tell you is a Mahagadaha. You know what that means, Port of Spain? A very big jackass. Okay? And you must not come on this station. You try and shut where your mother can use. Instead of coming here and trying to embarrass people and call people names. Keep out that UNC thing. You're not a UNC. You're not even a PNM too, because you can't see the wrong thing that PNM doing. You're so blind. And
I'm not getting him on this side. Is he still there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Hey.
morning, Orlando.
Yes. You still there?
I don't think I give it on TV. Every single day, guy, give it on TV. But anymore than talking and sit rubbish. Don't come in on TV no more. That the dog pokey type. So when I see that he go, man, all the drug music cousin, and he was the police commissioner. And he had catch him. That was just a test round later.
Are we there? Getting a silence on my side.
I said, go at your
People, of
floor.
course, don't forget Andy. Andy is feeling under the weather since last night. He's at a medical facility now. Of course, he is recuperating from whatever attack that he would have gotten, of course, of a medical nature. And those of you who have his number, well, I'm sure that a discreet call to him will, of course, boost his immune system, and of course speed up, of course,
Go at your floor.
him getting better
Mr.
at
Lennox.
this point in time.
Mr. Lennox, you go at
Yes,
your,
go ahead. Yes,
You go at your floor. And when I get that call, come
go ahead.
to
All
you.
right. Okay. I want to say as well that, of course, we have a programming piece of information for you. And as I said, the Observer will be from 9 o'clock. Will be, of course, shown. I understand that there might have been some issue last night, and so you will get the Observer with Michael Kerr, our colleague, from 9 o'clock. So I will be here until 9, and then, of course, we will have the Observer shown to you as it is an interview basically type program shown of course just before the corridor on the days that they have chosen at 7 o'clock. Of course, the corridor is shown live, of course, from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock, so 2 hours. So look forward to that. After, of course, we would have completed until 9 o'clock, at least on the ground report this morning. Once again, of course, Andy is under the weather, a bit under the weather, and of course, he is seeking medical attention. And of course, I'm here doing the honors at this point in time. Of course, with my colleague in main studio, doing all of the let's say the technical communications, whether it be playing your voicemails or indeed making arrangements to have your calls live. Once again, let me just give you the numbers to call for the new callers and for the regulars who may not keep committed to. Oh, we have a call. If we have a, go ahead then.
No, we don't have a call.
We don't have a call. Okay. All right. Hearing something there that I thought might have been. Yeah, 225-6644, 225-6644, and 239-5120, 239-5120, and of course, WhatsApp only, your voicemail. You want to sit down and sip a cup of tea or drink a cup of orange juice, or a glass of orange juice, as I would do. I prefer that on mornings. Well, excuse me. Then you are so invited through the WhatsApp number of 366-3053, 366-3053, and of course we will play and we will accommodate once you of course engage us. So that is where we are at. Once again, of course, Andy is a bit under the weather and he is seeking medical attention at this point in time. That being as it may. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead with your flow. I will let you know call coming in, our voice not coming in.
Okay, good. Okay, no problem. Yes, indeed. Well, I was making a point before, of course, the call came in that, of course, I am satisfied that the analysis that we would have given, the PNM clearly is out of its wits. They are out of their depth because they cannot respond, of course, to the equalizing power or force or potency of social media. And I just gave an adjustment, of course, to today's program. For example, here it is: the Observer can, of course, now be played at our convenience at whatever time. And as I said, if need be, and we have to go whole day, certainly we will, to get the messages across there. And that is a fundamental difference. Of course, the PNM and a bane, maybe a serious impediment to the PNM, because they would prefer not to have us, of course, give the true side of the story. I was reading something the other day where they talk about there are three sides of a story, of course, that of if there are two persons talking, well, there are three sides of a story, either side of it, so that's two. Either person's version, so that's two, and then of course the truth. And of course we see ourselves as the truth of what is happening in the country, and whether we are criticized justifiably or not justifiably. The only justification I can see as a criticism of us is that of course we expose them or expose those and those issues that they would prefer not to have exposed, and probably a slightly different one, but nonetheless a criticism, and that is how we present the material. What we try to do, of course, is provide instantaneous proof of what we are saying. I think that is a phenomenon that many are now following. Even I see it on political platforms now. They would show, of course, in order to objectively certify or ratify or engage in actions that the veracity of what they are saying cannot be questioned by, of course, showing video or audio as the case may be. And thus, of course, anybody with that kind of exposure as a recipient of the information will certainly have to, at minimum, have doubts or be convinced. And you have seen that, of course. Why you think people like Port of Spain will not call back? Or when, of course, he is confronted and exposed, he then, of course, goes on to the other, what I consider a piece of misinformation or propaganda, hoping that, of course, it will, as I asked Andy yesterday, if you are mixing water with soap water and you splash it on a wall, what will happen? Of course, it falls back off. Well, of course, they do that all over social media, the trolls and so on, to believe somehow that when they throw that out, that somehow they will catch a fish or so. No, if it is should I say its viscousness is of course created by soap water, then of course it means therefore it will soon fall off the wall. In other words, the veracity of these comments will certainly not have any validity. So what they do, of course, we expect that they will of course attack the personality, they will say all kinds of things, but in terms of the facts, they have all but given up on that, and therefore can't defend the PNM. Notice, of course, the last iteration of Mr. Porter's Spain, when he said, of course, she lost, Kamala Prasad, that is, lost 2 elections, and of course, that is why people are not respond, or according to him, people will not respond because they thief too much and they lose 2 elections, and that is confirmed. Well, I told him in no uncertain terms, well, all right, if that is your praxis, if that is the basis on which you are making that statement, and that of course you lost election, or you are not in government because you are corrupt, and then of course, is it that is that Chambers was corrupt? Is it that Manning was in fact corrupt? Is it that Robinson was corrupt because he lost as well? And of course, there could be no answer to that. And then of course we come to who came in after that. Of course, Manning, was it that he's corrupt and so on and so forth? And then, of course, he realized, well, listen, the nonsense he spoke. And, of course, then I made reference to Tobago and whether or not the present Prime Minister, is he corrupt as a consequence of losing in Tobago? I mean, devastatingly. And then, of course, the plethora of course, by-elections, albeit, of course, at the local government level, but the UNC won almost all. I think it's only one they lost, which would have been, of course, in Belmont. And of course, the one coming out of the last election, they won one and lost one. Indian Walk, I think it was. So those are the facts, and you cannot, of course, you must know that you're looking like a fool. I mean, I'm being generous here. I could say that you are asinine specimen of inhumanity. I could use, of course, a more what I consider to be less should I say, ordinary word or decent word as the case may be, but that is those are the realities, and that is where we come in. We always, of course, nestle what we are doing on the facts and priding ourselves of being able to prove it instantaneously. We have invented that. We know that, and of course, many are following now. And that came not by accident. We saw Fox News, and we saw CNN, and we saw these big networks that have a greater resource than us. Of course, making certain that they are on the spot. They have a issue going on, let's say in Italy or in the Caribbean. They will send a correspondence. Of course, we cannot do it, but we can certainly, of course, find the information. And Miss Santa Cruz is correct. Of course, it is a tremendous amount of work. You have to, of course, set up night and day. You have to go through reels. You have to go through several, of course, pieces of literature, both electronic and otherwise, video, etc., in order, of course, to find the appropriate piece of information. So, in the multi-million pieces of information that you will have on a particular subject, in order to bring out the point that you would like. And I think so far we have done pretty well, and literally, of course, have transformed how, of course, information is not just disseminated, and the PNM has no response to that, because they would say somebody is corrupt, but can't prove it. Of course, when they talk, for example, of the 106 schools, what we did, I was mandated to go and check all of them, even though, of course, they were well, of course, expressed in the parliament by Tim Gopi Singh, the former Minister of Education. Well, I went into the various facilities. I took pictures. In due course, you will see some of the pictures, some of them overgrown by nature, bush all over the place, and perfect schools, perfect buildings. Near Barnara there, for example, that one, I mean, really broke my heart. There was a secondary school. Yeah, go ahead.
I have 2 voicemails.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, yeah. Just let me conclude. There were 2 schools, a secondary school and a kindergarten school, early childhood center school. Both of them almost finished and just there, vandalized and in follow. Go ahead, my friend.
Tell Mr. people to give me a call now. Tell them to call him my son Malik now. Tell Mr. people to call me very urgent. Have a blessed day, Papa. And all do not good job. Andy go feel good. Andy strong. Andy go feel good. Andy, may the Lord guide and protect you and cover you and bring you back whole and 100% back. If you come out late tomorrow, have a blessed and pleasant day.
Good morning. Mikey, remember the man said, I have how many thousand people in my constituency? I don't know one of them. The man was speaking the truth. Dr. Rolly do not lie. He called Hyannis, Buffoon, Monkey, all of them in his constituency. The man do not lie. The man speak the truth. Only to call the black people name. But other things he lie. But calling the black people name, you don't know none of them. They are hyenas, they are monkey, they are donkeys, they are buffoon. That's the truth he speaks about. He call your own people, but gotta have fools, donkeys. So that's what he promised, to tell you the truth about his own black people. But the other people are the kings and queens. So you see, it's the same thing we have here. The man they call Trump is stopping everything. He is stopping everybody from getting help except him. Who? Israel who's going to kill out all the Palestine. Shoot to kill Israelis. Talk to you later.
Yes. Well, thank God Trinidad have free healthcare. So, Andy, you're going to be all right. So, I'm sorry to break up your monkey and your banana party, but there's more important stuff happening in the world today. 2 days ago, China showed its dominance in artificial intelligence, and they released some models for free. So any country, anybody, any smart person can go and use their models and develop something. I'm not going to push for the UNC to actually come up with a UNC plan, because I know that's useless. So my call is actually to regular intelligent trainees. One thing that Trinidad had was a very intelligent population. So my call out is going out to you intelligent folk out there that have a little bit of IT understanding. So China released these models to the world. You can simply go on there, use these models, and develop something great for the country. So I urge you all to get out there, forget about your bananas, forget about your monkeys, start developing on artificial intelligence. Trinidad should be at the forefront of this in the whole Caribbean region, but instead Venezuela is taking that spot. But hey, what are you going to do?
What caller?
We have a call? Go ahead, caller.
Morning, Lennox.
Good morning to you as well.
Yes, and Mickie.
Your boy is feeling good today, boy. Your boy is feeling good. I'm talking about Andy, not me.
All right, because I'm not seeing him, but he had a drink, take his little rest. He had to take his little restaurant. He will feel much better by tomorrow, so he will. You know, he is the pit bull. So the pit bull will be there, man. Just a little rest, you know. All right. right. I'm just looking on and watching and seeing what's going on here in election mood now. So, I'm just watching and listening this morning. Thank you.
Great.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, and same to you.
Lennox, good morning, and good morning to all my ground report supporters out there. I want to say a speedy recovery to Andy this morning. And Lennox, I saw in the news where Trump cut all aids from St. Vincent and Trinidad and Tobago. And the lady was asking what Trump could do. This is what Trump could do us, right? You all have a blessed day and a speedy recovery to Andy. Bye-bye.
Very serious matter, very serious. You have another one?
Hello?
We have another? Yes, we take your call.
Good morning, Andy, Lennox, Mickie, technical supporters, Workers' Right Platform, Guide the Channel, up and down the Caribbean. To my good friend Andy Williams, may God give you the strength and health and a speedy recovery to fight the evil. Let's imagine the 5 in the boat, the spirit and holding me already. So I pray that you get back up and we fight the fight in Jesus' name. Now, is that a voice note just a while ago? I would like to let him know that for the last 9 years, right, he may have lapsed, his brain may have lapsed because they have not known and followed the politics in this country. Under the UNC, they had the Inventors Initiative and Program where the citizens and children, down to the children age group, invent machines, mechanical machines for agriculture, manufacturing, and technical groups of modernizing machinery to get work done, and fish mining. So where the PNM then use the technology to develop this country and the citizens over those years, you see it gone dormant. But it's the citizens who remember those things and thinking about development and know what the UNC has delivered and bring to the fore for the citizens to elevate themselves. Because we in UNC had the vision that why computer laptop was given at an early age in secondary school. So the development of the children and them would have bring forth those kind of technology China sent out today. So the PNM, when you're talking about the banana party and thing, right? I'm talking about banana. We are just explaining to the citizen, the vulnerable in society, that all they are just been used to vote and raise it, and no elevation to lift you all up. So that is why the banana talk this come about, to remind them that it's all wrongly the leader gives them. And now is a dictator in making, that he not watching the true democratic way in his party. Have a nice day.
Yes indeed, my friend. Yes indeed. You have another call or voice?
And another thing, this whole fight about Stuart Young and his race is really freaking annoying to me. Who was the Minister of Energy when those 4 divers were murdered in that pipeline? I don't know, I forget who it was. But instead of attacking this man on his race, how about attacking him on his job performance? He oversaw, I wouldn't call it murder, but the death and the consequential mismanagement of reparations to the family and all of that. So he was a main figure in that, if my memory serves me right. So instead of debating whether he's shiny, whether he's Indian, whether he's black, all this nonsense, how about going after him on his job performance? This is something the UNC should be doing en masse, but instead you're all falling into this race battle, and it's really stupid. It's making your party look weak.
Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead, caller. We have a caller. Go ahead, caller. Yes.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Lennox. Good morning, the operator.
Yes, good morning.
I hope the pit bull recovers. We have him in we thoughts, and if it was probably something relating to the gun, well, we have things for that too. So yeah, don't worry. Let's get through good. Lennox.
Yeah.
You see exactly what is taking place with Trump. This is a perfect example of what happened when Kamala Persad was in office. And I will break it down for the people like Port of Spain and things who just can't understand simple English. Everybody complaining about Trump. Trump this, Trump, what Trump will do for St. Lucia, what Trump will do for Trinidad. Trump doing for America. Trump putting America first, and Trump trying to fix America. Everything that went wrong in the last couple of years under other administration and all the advantages that was taking place where America is concerned, Trump decided, see that, all you give me a chance, I'm going to fix the country. Now, before now, everybody only want from America. World Health Organization want, United Nations want, this country want, that country want. They send an illegal criminal immigrants into the people in country. You mustn't say nothing. Same thing with Kamala Persad when she became the Prime Minister. For the years and the decades that they never wanted nothing from PNM, they accepted all the dotishness. Just imagine, you have a Prime Minister come and tell your membership that here what? The African people in this country suffering the most, and them in the lowest realm of the economic structure in this country. And you is a leader of the political party that served for over 50 years in this country. And you making that statement. If a man had any shame in what he's saying and the things that he do, he should have never say something like that. That just goes to show that, you know what, look at me. The leadership of my party could make other people wealthy rich, billionaires in this country, maybe trillionaires because of the kind of resources passed through this country, and we know the syndicate that controls that. Make them filthy rich and elevate the whole other section of the population. And the people who supported me and keeping me in government, you coming and telling me that all they have to remain at the lowest economic structure of the country, and people clap that. And they didn't even know that this man telling all, hey, hear what? All his dogs, all his worse than rats. But all important to me, just keep me in power and to keep the people them that we serving in a nice financial situation. So when Kamala come and she started to fix the things and say, hey, hear what? You could be living in Lavantil, you could be living in Point Fortin, any part of this country. The resources of Trinidad and Tobago belong to the citizen, whether you're white, black, gray, pink, whatever. So I'm going to put infrastructure in the country throughout Trinidad and Tobago, so every citizen would benefit. I'm going to do things for the people who have to face groceries, who are single parents and things, to drop the prices on food stuff, take off VAT from a lot of the basic items that we just use on a daily basis, salt, fish and rice and oil and all these kind of things. So that you could benefit. Now she come in and handing your money direct in your hand and say, hey, go to the grocery and take 1,000. She's telling you here what? The 1,000 that you're working for, instead of you was spending 900, you could spend 500 now and still have a 500 and you'll get the same amount of products or even more. Guys, you see these simple things, people can't understand it. Especially when the two little idiots ball. Well, Kamala coming in office now, she could take all the laptops and she could raise fuel price. But come and raise the fuel price 5 times. And you hear nothing from them same individual. And they was blaming Kamala for doing that. And she do the totally opposite. So this is just goes to show you the mental. And when now everybody want, Abdullah want, Incha Ishmael want, everybody want now for the lady. But she agenda is to fix Trinidad. All of them want. They want, we want this for the mosque. We want this for this place. We want that. You can't operate so. Not because you're part of the government now. You have to want everything and the lady have to give you. So now they start to condemn she. The own people now fighting against the lady. And well, okay, history is told, she's out of office now. For the last 10 years, I was here in Ishmael crying and bawling and cussing Rowley tea, breakfast and dinner. But he was the one who endorsed Rowley and said that the best person to govern this country. Now he shut up like a little fool and he can't talk. He don't even be on his own program anymore. Same thing with Abdullah. This Roger and all of them. They do all kind of thing against the lady. When she was trying to open her eyes and let them see, hey, this country in a mess and we had to start somewhere, but it could take a little time. 5 years was too long for them to wait to see the development of the country and all this kind of thing. Just imagine all them schools and things, all the flooding and things were taking place in the country with the program that was initiated by Kamala. What would have been happening all now today? People in places would never get flooded before, get flooded. When she was building box drain and widening rivers and building bridges and things, they say, oh God, she's a box drain government. All she doing is box drain, box drain. Half of them who was complaining now, the house was underwater 2-3 times as a little drizzle. What will be happening in Port of Spain. So all these things where there's a similarity now we're going on with America. Trump and them doing to fix America. Everybody who was sucking the blood out of America, feeling the pinch now because nothing coming free. Same thing with Kamala. When she's out to fix the country, a lot of them wanted to suck the blood out of her and get nice things, free things. And they didn't consider about country. So the deal with this 10 years, I sure every person who was in that convention on Saturday, directly or indirectly related to somebody who was murdered in the country for the last year. That's 600 and over 40 people. Every citizen in that convention, PNM convention, somebody they know, either immediate relative or some further relative got killed in this country. And that do affect them and realize that every single thing that's happening in that country, politics is the root of either making it better or making it worse. And for 10 years, all it did was get worse. And if people want to call and complain and like the Port of Spain person and all this kind of thing, and they can't see that yet because the only thing them seeing is a funeral home coming just now. So everything and all the failures in their lives and all the dotations that Rowley and the PNM give them know that how them going in that other place just now. So they want to see others go down like them. So you know it have the scene, it have people, when they're drunk in, they won't accept you helping them enough. They would prefer to grab you and pull you down to drown you with them. And that is the mentality of a lot of people who support the PNM government. They don't care about the rest of the country and the future of the country, even their own children. Once them going down, they want to take you down too. And if people don't wake up right now and this era in our life, Trinidad will be facing a tough road ahead. It would be even tougher, especially with somebody like Trump in office. And he is doing nothing wrong. He doing everything that is right. But every country who doing the right thing and follow the way how the politics and the geopolitics of the world have to go, and don't understand that they only stand to benefit from a government or a leadership of Donald Trump, and they try to oppose and go the other way, they will lose. You toe the line and you understand that how you what. You do the right thing in your country and you'll benefit from my country. You do the wrong thing, you follow the bad leaders on them, and you will face consequences like what we see in recently happened in Colombia. Gentlemen, have a good morning. If people don't understand simple English, they will feel it hard. Good morning. Take care.
Thank you. We have another?
We have a caller.
That was the last? All right, okay. Of course, don't forget, people, program just adjustments from 9 o'clock. Of course, you will hear the Observer. I repeat from, I think last night they might have had some little issue. There's my understanding, but whatever it is, of course, it will be interesting. Mickie will normally carry on. He's a very good conversationalist, and therefore there should be no exception. But I want to tell the last caller, of course, for a moment.
We have a caller.
We have one? Yeah, for a moment.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. Go
ahead, caller.
Lennox, and I like to address you as the assistant professor. Now, I want people to focus on what is happening in Trinidad. The newspaper not basically putting it on the front page. But before I talk about that, KCR tell us as citizens, wean off the government. And he went to beg for assistance in America for security. And Trump come back and tell him, wean off the USA. So Karma has a nice way of saying things. But I want to highlight to people, it's not on the front page of none of the newspaper. A gun runner has been indicted together with 2 other Trinidadians for shipping guns into Trinidad, high-powered rifle. They got a Piaco large shipment in 2021. The fellow name is Shem Alexander, and people must do the research to see him. They say he was a part of the director of an athletic association in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Tied in to the Trinidad Football Association. And more importantly, for the last 2 or 3 years, he was sponsored by the biggest bank in Trinidad and Tobago, the Republic Bank. So for him to get sponsorship, that director, that fellow they call Shem, who is now Shem in Trinidad, Shem in Trinidad, has to have a real contact to be running a competition. They say youth football. Now, remember he was held in Jamaica and extradited from Jamaica to the USA. I want to throw out some data points to ask Trinidad and Tobago, why did the government go after all the legal gun dealers? All right? Why did they go after the legal gun dealers? Was that to deflect and pivot away from the real gun runners who were selling and bringing high-powered rifles into Trinidad? No. The state of emergency was called recently, and I believe the opposition leader highlighted a clause that they had to remove, I think it's the gun amnesty clause, for people who had high-powered rifles or who basically changed the makeup of the rifle to become automatic rifles. And a high government official was implicated or alleged into that. I ain't saying that gun runner has a relationship with him. The other data point I want to say is that you remember a high government official, a POYA lawyer who get SC, children was being trained with high-powered rifles. The fact you are being trained, where are you getting your high-powered rifles from? Is it the legitimate dealer? or is this dealer who apparently worked his way into the Republic Bank to sponsor him? I am suspecting that he might have had some high government officials. Remember, they say high god officials in Trinidad and Tobago, and KCR say the opposition party is part of that. The government apparatus has been in bed with and in cahoot with all kind of trafficking, this and that. So I'm just throwing out those data points. Let us ask the question, when this man transformed his rifle to an automatic rifle and he apparently gave it as a gift, where he got all those parts from, where he got the rifle from, was it a legitimate? And this is where I think the goatee track has been laid. Investigation is taking place in America. And I'm saying no more. I'm throwing out that go people and look for Shem Alexander. Gateway Athletics is association and sponsorship with the Republic Bank. I ain't hear Republic Bank say anything about it. And for him to get sponsorship of Republic Bank, he has to be in bed and closely associated with big people. To get us, you can't go just so and get sponsorship from Republic Bank. They want to know who's your mommy, who's your auntie, who's your thing, and who you know big, that they could justify that. I go and have a nice morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have another call on line. Of course, you know, people will form their own opinion, and of course, once it is nestled and it is verifiable in terms of the information, certainly, of course, you are welcome, of course, to use this platform to, of course, inform the people, because that is one of the essence of what we are doing. We have another caller, or you want me to continue?
Caller.
Caller?
Yes, good morning, Lennox.
Caller, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Lennox. On ground report, Mikey. Well, Andy, I hope you get well soon. Tunapuna here, fellas. Lennox, this country has reached rock bottom. And I don't know if Rowley have that rock in his head. Because you could tell me that what is taking place in this country. I mean, you know, as David Mohammed, which I have no thing with. I do not really, you know, have any belief in that guy, because that guy sometimes, he promote racism. I say this. Because when Pandey was there, man, God, he went to tongue with Pandey and them. The same thing he did with Kamla and them. Well, and unjustly, because when they were doing, you know, his thesis was that they were doing for the East Indian people and all this kind of damn nonsense, whereas we know differently. Yeah, and so what happened is this. I was just reading the papers yesterday, that is. Would you believe in Toko? The fire truck is being housed at the Toko police station, you know?
It's been housed at the police station, you say?
Yes, it is on the papers yesterday.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, right? You know, and I want to ask this question. If these people in Toko really serious about the constituency, would they, you know, vote for that? Because there is a Toko vulnerable call for fire station. This is on page 4 of yesterday's Express. You know, we see now there is a shortage of cancer material to treat people at the Cancer Society, especially women, you know, who suffering from cervical cancer and all this kind of thing, you know. We've seen a breakdown in the police station with all these things that is taking place. Right. So I am saying, you know, when you look at it, the whole question of governance, and, you know, a true reflection of, because when you look at, and I want to compliment Mikey yesterday for the observers with his interview with Evie and with Dr. Indira Sajuan. And they gave a proper explanation as to what is taking place in this country. And I hope if people really serious, if they would look and listen to that program, you say it coming on at 9 o'clock after you sign off here?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, after that.
I hope that people will really look at
rerun.
that program and that rerun, because it's very, very informative. Lennox, you have a blessed day, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have another call, my friend, or?
No.
All right, okay. About two callers before, I was making the point earlier that, of course, if I wasn't conscious of where I am, I would have thought that he was making or expressing a narrative on some street in Laventille. So accurate was his assessment. I'm talking about Mr. Pina, not Pina, Mr. Bagpo. That's him, man. I think that was a perfect example of understanding the dynamics, the socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics that operates. But then, of course, that takes me further back to, of course, our friend from the United States. He said, of course, not to focus on, of course, the banana and the monkey and so on. But, of course, that clearly, to me, is an arrant, of course, and unadulterated exhibition of ignorance as to the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, because that is crucial. And that issue had to be addressed because it is surrounding that and all of the iterations and all of the fragmented parts and moving parts of that conversation that has created, of course, what I consider to be the conditioning of the African community in particular, that, of course, resolutely and loyally and without shift. Without shift, the PNM and getting them into office. And the objective, of course, is targeting, of course, a better UNC, which I believe that caller is referring to, because he never speaks of course, tell the PNM to, of course, focus on AI or indeed, of course, currency, etc. We have a caller. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Yes, good morning, Mr. Lennox. Good morning, Andy. We pray for you, Andy, and speedy recovery, Andy. And well, Mr. Lennox, good morning, and good morning, Mikey, wherever you are. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Lennox, listen to this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
People in Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, PNM supporters, them had to be insane, you know. You tell me them trying to push a man like Stuart Young on the country. A man who has failed miserably. When I tell him miserably, that man failed every department, you know, from Minister of National Security to otherwise he's Minister of Energy now, and the man is a miserable failure. Anyway, put that man is a failure. Right? And that man feels so bad, and they're trying to push this man, right, on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But Kitroli, let me tell you something that you have to be, well, you insane. You're a total insane person. I don't know how the people in Trinidad and Tobago elected you in the first place. Something had to be wrong. All the crazy, the country in a mess. All the come and meet a country that was functioning 10 years ago, right? The country was functioning so good. As soon as all they come in 2015, look what they do. All they drive this country into the ground, pauperize the nation. You're seeing poverty everywhere, here, there, and all about the place. No, a lot of people living in a lot of like things like filth and squalor people living in certain parts of this country. And all these studies to push this massive failure that is Stuart Young on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Only had to be mad. We want to get rid of all the quick call elections, peace call elections, and get out of our faces. Anyway, go on. God bless.
Thank you very much, of course, for inadvertently, of course, consolidating the point I was making, that, of course, the caller from the United States tells us do not focus on issues such as that. But we must, because it is that. If it is we don't, let me put it take it from the other side. If we don't, it means that, of course, it will be all right for the PNM to continue with that level of propaganda, that level of attempting, of course, to not just indoctrinate new victims, but also, of course, to sustain the propaganda or the brainwashing or conditioning that they have done over the years in order to secure victory. And if it is someone is very serious about, of course, the UNC coming into office and giving them advice as to what they should do while in office, then we must focus on doing what? Getting rid of the PNM. Otherwise, they are not going to lie down. So I want the caller to understand that it is not by accident we focus on the banana issue in its various iterations by, of course, because there are people who would depend upon to stay in office on that basis. But let's go to the lines. President, good morning.
Good morning, Silver Fox here, man.
Yes, yes.
I called to wish my partner a speedy recovery, Andy, and may God bless you and may you come back here soon. Before I go, I want to say this. I want PNM people and Trinidad and Tobago to listen just a short bit of me here this morning. Now, I want to ask you all, PNM never want an Indian to be a prime minister in the Indian party, in the black man party, right? They never want an Indian to be a prime minister in a black man party, right? I want to ask all you, how will you feel that they don't want an Indian, and how will you Indian feel in the party that they take a Chinese to make prime minister, and all you just sitting down and stand by and just watching and looking. What will you do to all you? What you put in all your mouth? What you put in all your brain, all these big people? How will you been bypass all the years? Kaladin Mohammed, all these men couldn't even be prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. They choose chambers and all kind of thing. Now they choose a Chinese over all Indian and all the serve Trinidad and Tobago. All you do, all you Jews and all you can't be prime minister. Look at all yourself in the mirror and ask all yourself what is really going on. What is going on with all your life and what is going on with you yourself. People of Trinidad and Tobago, let us be careful and stand up for what is right. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. You have another call?
No, we don't want that call.
All right, let me just give them the numbers to call. Of course, 225-6644, 225-6644, and of course, 239-5120, 239-5120 for the new callers and those who may want to come or have not yet committed these numbers to memory. And then, of course, we have to give us a voice note of your own choosing and type and style. But of course, you call 366-3053, only WhatsApp. 366-3053. So I was making the point, and of course, the last two callers clearly sort of buttress what I have been saying, that those are serious political issues, because it has been what I consider to be the genesis of the argument that the PNM has projected to a certain section, a critical section of the national community, mainly Africans, but of course you have some Indians as well, clearly as reflected in the party itself. But the fact of the matter is the African community. And why the African communities? Because the African communities are densely concentrated along the east-west corridor, where, for whatever reason, and of course we have our reasons why, of course, that is so. But of course, the gerrymandering of the east-west corridor in producing, of course, at least I think nearly 2/3 of the seats that are up for grabs in the cyclical electoral process. And so it is important, of course, that if you really want the UNC to get into office, these matters must be addressed. And therefore, what we have seen in recent times, is not for any other reason, but for Dr. Rowley's personal advancement and agenda. He wants Chorchong because he knows where the influence are buried. We have a caller? Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. I'm calling from Bukavu. I want to agree with that fella who just speak there. He's quite right that you would never see an Indian Prime Minister under the PNM. But you think you would see an African Prime Minister under Kamala and them? The both parties is the same thing. None of them are better. Yeah.
And that's the point I am making. That how could you sell us that it is a African party? Just as how, if of course another individual ends up being, of course, leader of the UNC, then the same argument applies. That there is no difference. So therefore, it means therefore that was a fundamental breach, a fundamental dislocation of what were being told to us, and therefore, in such circumstance, quite apart from, of course, the underperformance, or if you consider to be a performance at all, because the difference between the PNM and the UNC clearly is performance, and if you take away, of course, the ethnic or the racial undertones or overtones or racial biases or racial promotions, you will see that it has to be performance. And when the UNC is in office, clearly, not only crime is reduced, but also you have a better delivery to the people. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, good morning, Lennox.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for holding down the fort, and I hope Andy feels better soon. Andy, get well fast, you understand? Hey, Lennox, I am watching the news last night, and I am seeing these people in this country, the people who I am sure had to be totally brain damaged. These people running all over the place behind these so-called PNM candidates, and they supporting them and be telling them, where these people living? How these people brain working? How will you could be running behind these people and going to vote are supposed to put them there to continue the disasters that are taking place in this country for the past 10 years? These people have no shame. These people don't understand that PNM don't care about them. They don't understand PNM don't like them. They don't understand these so-called candidates in the PNM only looking for a walk. They realize that them don't care about country. Them don't care about people in the country, you know. What they're looking for is to make sure these dotage people go and put their ex by the bodies, so them go a walk to go and sit down in Parliament and do nothing, absolutely nothing. And the ones who are running behind them, all they encouraging destruction. You understand? All they stop it, all they don't care about all yourself, all they don't care about all your family, all they don't care about all your country, all they care about these stupid set of candidates that they're putting up in PNM. If all of them that care about country, they will never go nowhere near anything that says that called PNM. And it is not just talk, you know, it is a fact. As Justice is always saying, anything to tell you, have a case, bring the evidence. We have all the evidence of PNM non-performance for the past almost 10 years. Plenty evidence. And that is why I like when Santa Cruz and the callers call and keep reminding these people that seem to have short memories of all the evil, destructive, dangerous things that PNM has done over the past almost 10 years. You understand? There was not a year, a day, a month, other than that something, you know, destructive, something that is of no interest, no benefit to the people that took place. Is property tax, is this tax, is no forex, they closed down here, and then the lying, look how Rowley lied. He said he wasn't, must not forget, you know, we must talk about that every day. Yeah, we must talk about it every day. They say, Rowley said he was not going to close down petrol trade. What did he do? In 2025, or they still believe in PNM lies? Or nobody don't have to tell all you know, as I say, the evidence is there. The evidence is there. You understand? The pharmacy telling you they can't get drugs because what thing happen? They have a monopoly for the 1% to bring in the drugs. You know? Everything that is against the ordinary people in this country is being done by the PNM. And these people still running behind these people and say, this is the candidate, they're going to vote for them. Well, you see, very brain damage. I had a gentleman call, I think it was day before, and Stefan. This man, I think he had called the ground report earlier on. I heard this man from young constituency, you're talking about the constituents supporting him. The man said, it's 3.5 years now. He and some child crossing over had to walk in the water in some river to come out for the child to go to school. And this man has been asking for a bridge or somebody to walk over so that he and the child wouldn't have to walk in the river, in the water. in Stuart Young constituency. I hope if the man listens, he will call the ground report and tell them exactly how long he asking Stuart Young and the cohort put this little bridge to cross the river. Yeah? The man was desperate when he kept calling Stephen the other morning, you understand? So when you look at it, the point is this: all the people stop going to employ these people. Anybody in a business that wants a business to prosper and to be successful, you don't employ failures. You don't employ haters. You don't employ people that have absolutely no interest in the business. And the business here is Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? So it's about time that people get the sense to know on election day, when you go and you vote for the UNC, you will be firing all of them in PNM. As far as I am concerned, PNM is so no good, so nothing. They don't even deserve to be in the opposition. We want them to go, to disappear. Just like how you see the boat the Coast Guard was towing. Just think, we want all of them to sing so. Let this country rise. Let them take the near off in that. Let me exhale. Let me be able to breathe. You understand? PNM is no good. You got to tell all the world you don't know. But anyway, I know the majority of the people in this country want to live better. And they know that they have to do what they have to do to make sure that we live better. And let me tell all you this. Kamala Prasad, the CESA, and the UNC is the only hope. You understand? And they talk about Trump this and Trump that. Trump have all the files of the misbehavior in public office of the PNM for the past 10 years. He know everything what has been going on in this country, and he is going to deal with them for making the sanctions, all the laws. And because the PNM, they break all the laws in this country, and they have all of them in the position so they can defend their wrongdoing and their lives. But this time, I want to know what they will tell Trump, because you know something, what is right, and what is wrong, and the people damn know, especially them PNM people, they damn know what is wrong, but they're defending it to the hills, you understand? So, as I said, people, all who want to live better, all who know better, all you know what all you have to do. Make sure, don't sit down and relax now and say that election coming so we can wait. No. Keep all your eyes on the EBC. Keep all your eyes on them. I find what you're relaxing. Keep all your eyes on PNM. They're taking these last couple months to see all that they can destroy, all the underhand delays that they can do. Keep all your eyes on them. They must not get away with it. You understand? So as I say, some intelligent friends, the ambitious friends, the people who want to live better, all you know what all you have to do, keep up the struggle, keep up the prayers, and we're going to work hard, and we're going to be very, very determined to make sure that Kamala Prasad Bissessa is the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Because you know something? When UNC win, we win. So blessings, people.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You have another call? People, of course, it's 7 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. Don't forget, from 9 o'clock on the corridor, on the ground report, we will be airing, of course, or rebroadcasting the Observer, of course, hosted by Michael Kerr. So look forward to that. So do not move from there, from your seat or wherever you are, or what platform that you are on, because of course you will have that in the next 7 minutes or so that we have on the ground report at this time. Of course, we continue to deal with these and other types of issues on the corridor transformation tonight from 8 o'clock. So I thought it was important, but I want again to emphasize, because I said this in order to reach a particular stage, and I'm glad that the caller called in and said that in the Indian party you wouldn't accept, of course, another ethnic group, of course, leading that party, and that's the point I am making. That if you profess to be an Indian party or African party, why would you now, being successful, of course, at that, and where the constituencies are located, you have been able to win all the time, and therefore, of course, the banana issue has come up, etc. Why are you now, of course, trying to generate a disillusionment, meaning that you're trying to decondition people to accept the new narrative that, of course, you have put this variable to suggest not that the party has moved away from that philosophy, but that he wants this man to be there because he knows where the skeletons are buried. It is about Rowley. It is about for his purpose. That's the point I am making. And the that he tell us about bananas and so on all the time and give us the impression that, of course, it is a African man party and generate or produce or concoct this deception on the people. I mean, it is abominable. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Morning, Lennox.
Good morning.
Morning, Ground Report. Andy, partner, this is Malcolm X. If you want to see a doctor, don't go in no hospital for them to get no bad injection to get rid of you wrong this time. Let we people in the Ground Report.
Good advice. To start with. Yeah.
No, listener, it are things I remember. It happened to people, especially when you're against a government. So I don't want Andy to go in no public. Now, Lennox.
Yes.
Lennox, something I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
This Indian party and African party, this is from slavery, you know. This is a slave mentality because people must know they never want the Africans and the Indians to unite in this country where we was united by the River Nile. You know. We do the education system and everything. So it's a mental, political thing by the slave masters that still existing into this country that they don't want African and Negroes to unite. So here we have to get away from. We have to get away from who leader, who party. Stuart Young and his family is who finance Dr. Rowley party. That is not the PNM party. And I want Trinidadians to know, when you go and you vote a government, you vote a government for the best and the upliftment of you, your children, and your future. You're right. When you vote a government, you vote them for housing, you vote them for health, you vote them for education. So don't feel when PNM in power and they give you a house, that is PNM give you a house, or PNM send your children, give you a free education. These things is what they was elected to do. So when we watch what we're going on in this country here right now, it's slavery, you know. Because the people who in the background, I want to stop using the word the 1%. I want to use the slave master grandchildren and them, is who don't want the Indians to be in power because they know the Indians are the beneficiary financially and they're more united than we Africans. We Africans are the voters and to put them in power. So keep them under a mental illness. It's a mental illness they're keeping we African under. You know? Because when I watch that we're going on with these sending up people to represent constituents, what Stuart Young really do? Tell me what Rowley do for Karana. Check the East-West Corridor, check Labray, check Faizabad, check where had the strong point. Now, Point had a lot of African people was little wealthy. You close down that and destroy them. All you watch at we're going on. Check the East Indian or the Indian areas
it's all kind of business, it's doubles, it's everything in eBay, it's everything with them actually making. How much Indian children you see with a picket line asking for job? Find out how much Indian children is being unemployed. As they leave school, they organize jobs for their people. We have nothing because in Lavon till now, you go here, who we go put? But you have nothing. Who we go put? Put back P&M, but we have nothing. So it's a mental illness. So Trinidad and Tobago, I am saying the best time I have seen, it was under Basil Pandey. All you try and remember when John Humphrey come out with the Susu land. It was $1 for a farm. You paid on $1,000 and you was getting land where you could have built your own house. Check all the AGC house we have cut back and racket run, how much leak, how much crack, how much in walking, how much sewer problem. All you watch good and check John Humphrey policy under Basil Pandey. Check under Camilla Posad Bisesa. Check under Robinson. When Robinson came and he say he going to give us the money what he take in the cola when he take it, he say he make it, he giving all you it in state enterprise. Shareholders in state enterprise. People say they don't want that. They want money. He give all your bonds. All you sell all your bonds and make a company, a security company, get rich off of all your bonds when all you could have been getting a dividends from the cement, from the flour mill, and from these different things. And who would have be the people to benefit? The African people. Right? Check now. Who getting a back pay? Eh? They're telling you about 4%. All you check it. It's nothing for we because the people who in power. Let me tell all you something, Trinidad and Tobago, Stuart Young, in the just so no. The big thing now is the Chinese now coming with the slave master children and looking to get power, no, because the Chinese and them running all the rum shop, they running all the playway, illegal playway, the Chinese, all the groceries opening 24/0. All you watch where the Chinese doing, they controlling the food. They controlling the food. So we're going on with we. We end up like the lost sheep in the desert. Africans, Trinidadian, poor black. All you raise all your head. All you watch at Belmont. All you watch at Stuart Young and the next lawyer man. How much we name Keith Scotland? How much little black boy he ever represent to come out of jail without they have to pay him big money? Wait is he really do? Wait is them fellas doing? Eh? All you fighting to put a man in Dabadi O'Meara where people have to say they don't know him because it's P&M. Boy, we passed that stage, Trinidad and Tobago. We in a serious, serious time for we children, you know, not for we in the 60s and 70s because Lennox, people living long now, you know. People living long. And if you observe now, long time when people was 60 years was old, now like 10, 15, 25, and them age, 18 and 19 were getting killed, like them is old age now, you know, because them just getting killed like dog on the road. All you, it's time to get rid of this government, what you calling P&M government. Get rid, and then I want to close by saying I was proud last night on the news when I hear with the Auditor General and Inboot and them. I can't wait to hear the lock-up Inboot boy. Inboot and them, Inboot never take holidays. He had to answer for taxpayers' money. That $3 billion we can answer for. And he trying to fight down the Auditor General with, boy, I can't wait to go by the Hall of Justice and protest when that case coming up. I find May was too long. It should have been next week because he have plenty to answer. The wicked and evil boy. Trinidad. Right. Trinidad. Right. Trinidad. All you go ahead. All you go pay for all your soul. Amen.
Amen, amen, indeed. Of course, well, amen in more ways than one. Of course, we have come to the end of the program. It's 4 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. Don't forget, of course, hopefully Andy, Mickie, and myself, of course, will be on tomorrow morning. If not, of course, we will make a similar arrangement, maybe much more efficacious, much more efficient. Yes, indeed. And of course, don't forget, of course, tonight, the corridor transformation. We will, of course, deal with this and other issues. Except to say, let me just in conclusion say this: that of course, my position, where I wanted to get, but let's use a hypothetical situation. Assuming that, of course, the issue of race connected to any one of the major parties, whether UNC, it doesn't matter who is at the leadership. It doesn't matter who is the leader in the PNM, then on pound for pound, on a level playing field, it is clear that the policies of the UNC will always prevail, and that therefore the electorate will gravitate to the UNC. Let's not waste time with that. So my point, the reality of the situation is this: that the PNM has always, of course, depended on the voter bank along the east-west corridor to, of course, stay in power, tenuous as it is. But that is the reality. And therefore, why they did that? Because they have developed, of course, a narrative to say that they are African party. And it is from that perspective I'm saying that is another one of Dr. Rowley's, of course, deceptions, another one of his innuendos, another one of his self-serving agenda by utilizing, of course, this fella, putting him there. And I'm saying that every African should reject that so-called bank, should reject that. And because, of course, we know it's another lie, it's another deception, because it is about, of course, Rowley wanting to control the scenario, the party, and the government. That if the PNM is in government, moving forward, or now, as they are, and of course they're trying to control from behind. That's the point I am making. But of course, if pound for pound, if theoretically there is no leadership issue as far as ethnicity, whether Indian in relation to the UNC or African relating to the PNM, and of course that is not the issue. But of course we deal with, of course, policies, programs, delivery. Clearly, on every occasion, the UNC would, of course, come out Trump and therefore be the government of preference in the country. But we have that fact. That is a reality. And therefore, I'm saying that it has been a dishonest act on the part of Rowley, and his agenda is always sinister, and it's about him and trying to keep control from behind by putting somebody there. It didn't matter if Stuart Young was African, but he was close as he was with Rowley, then that person would have been Rowley's choice to impose on the PNM. That's the point I am making. I trust that tonight we will, of course, look a little closer to that. My friend, of course, in studio, have a wonderful rest of the day. Of course, we have come to the end of the program, and of course, look forward to the Observer after, when, of course, that will be, of course, replayed or schedule in order, of course, to make certain that you benefit from what Mickie had to say last night on the Observer. So enjoy. Have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless. Bye-bye. And of course, pray for Andy, and I trust that Andy will be able to join us. You have anything to tell me before we leave?
101.
Huh?
Better.
One more?
Hold on a little better.
Hold on?
Hold on a little bit. I'm trying to get on today.
A caller trying to get on? You want us to take that person? Go ahead.
Get on.
Or keep my system on. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Okay. All right then. So have a wonderful one. Bye-bye, people.
No.
What?
I'm trying to get it on.
Oh, you're trying to get...
trying to get it on, yeah.
Hold on. All right.
Yeah, hold on.
All right, okay. All right. Sorry about that. People, he's trying to start the rerun of the Observer from this time forward.
A call coming in.
Huh?
A call coming in.
All right, caller, go ahead in the meantime as we try to get ready ourselves for the observer coming on afterwards. So go ahead, caller.
Morning, caller.
Is
Good morning.
Good morning. Is a set of jokers running this country, the comedian country, boy. Because it's every day something. Look, the boat, they say they found drifting. You only heard about it once, and up to now, you ain't nothing again. We have the president, we have the minister of national security, and we have the prime minister. You ain't nothing, no fuss, nothing in this country, boy. What really going on? Only what you're hearing is the money. They're taking all the money and they're doing all kind of things. They're spending the money on things they're not supposed to. Money disappearing, all kind of thing in this country. And the poor people have to suffer for that. Eh? The poor people suffering all for the things the government doing in this country is a disgrace in this country with the people. You understand? People don't even know how they're living and how they're surviving. But I want to tell these people and them, if all you dare put back this government, this PNM government, for the next election, all you will be suffering more. Trying to say that all your children, all your family will be suffering more because all you see what's going on under this administration. So all you put back this incompetent government to run this country. All you will be, I don't know what to say, but all you will be done. We already done. All you will be going down to the gutter. Put them back. Please chop it and go and put them back. Everything the government say, all you laughing and kicking. Kick, yeah. Put them back, all you will suffer. And it's all you doing it on all your own. So go ahead and put them back. Don't learn sense. And watch what's going on and taking place in this country.
You're right. We heard that, of course. The technical person there is attempting, of course, to start the rerun of the observer henceforth. So just bear with us. There's a little challenge that he would have had there in studio. In the meantime, of course, we have a little extension of time. We go right up to 10 o'clock as per usual. You all right now?
We get a caller coming in.
All right, okay. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. In the meantime, whilst, of course, he put his act together, so to speak.
Lennox, morning.
Go ahead, caller.
Morning, Lennox. Lennox, you hearing me? Lennox.
Go ahead, caller.
Right, Lennox. Morning.
Yes, go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Yes, we're trying to. We have a little technical issue in playing that observer reel, but we will get it organized. But in the meantime, you have an opportunity to speak, so go ahead.
Right. You all remember the history of what happened in Kamal and all this thing, right? And when Eric Williams died, and they put George Chambers. Now, Chambers did a good job, I always tell you that. And he was for everybody. He wasn't for no one race of people, he was for the whole country. Okay, you hear me? And you know the 1% and the same PNM went out of the way to back NAR to get rid of Chambers because Chambers was for everybody. So it does not matter who is an African leader for UNC or Indian leader for the PNM. Chambers care about the whole country just like Kamla Bajo Pandey. That is the big difference. And the PNM and the 1% create the NAR to destroy George Chambers. I telling you that. I always tell you that. So this PNM only care about one sector of the population. Kamala care about everybody. Just like Pandey and George Chambers. That is where the problem from Lennox. Thank you for the call.
Yes, people, of course, we have a little technical issue. It's 40 minutes past the hour, 9 o'clock. We should have been out of here. At least I should have been out of here by 9. Of course, it's loading the information as a rerun of the Observer, hosted by, of course, Michael Kerr. And stay tuned for that. In the meantime, of course, we'll try to take one or two calls if time will permit. But of course, once again, I just want to make it clear, because of course, I don't want it to seem that somehow we have preference for one side or the other. If it is hypothetically that leadership issue as far as race is
Mr. Lennox,
concerned, it's not an issue.
Mr. Lennox, I can actually allow one. You can go ahead or lock off freely.
Lock off?
You can go ahead or lock off freely.
So, you sure? All right. Well,
I'm not getting through.
You're not getting through. I wonder if I can get through from my side, boy, and I'm sure I might be able to get through from on my side. Let me try it and see in the meantime. Because 10 o'clock is the time that we say that we want to finish. So I don't want to have
Well, go ahead. You go ahead then.
Yeah, I don't want to shortchange the callers.
Go,
and of course,
Mr. Lennox, you can go ahead until 10.
Yeah?
Go ahead until 10.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, no, I'm going to try to see if I get the Observer here and see if I could play it from here. It should be able to, because I'm seeing you very clear on YouTube. So let me see if I could do it from on this side and see. But of course, people, we have a
call coming in.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning again, gentlemen. This is the Barack Paul here again. Gentlemen, I'm 55 years of age, and growing up, the only thing I know about politics was Eric Williams was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And everything that functions, when I used to be in primary school and all these kind of places, all we knew and was taught that Eric Williams was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. We wasn't made alert about anything about who's the opposition and the intricacies of the politics in the society. We know that we're Trinidadian, we know the watchword, we know the motto, we know everything, we know the national anthem, and we knew that Eric Williams was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, talk done. And when, after now, let me say 30 years now, you get to realize and you start to be more concerned about living in Trinidad and Tobago and what really politics play into your lives and all these kind of things. And I probably think my parents and them voted for Eric Williams too, because all they know. But where we grew up and things, we never really depended or see any support coming from any government. We work in humble beginnings, and everything was focusing on, all your work hard, get all your education, and come out of this scenario that we're in right now. That is the cotton cane and working in the fields and all these kind of things. And that was we focus. That was the agenda of our parents and all these kind of things. When nowadays now, you get to realize how much politics plays in your life. And with good governance, how better your life could be, and how better your country could be, and how better the society would be. And when you go back and you analyze that 30 or 35 years of undisturbed governance by Eric Williams, now you just understand what criminal act was committed among the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and this country. I could only term it as a criminal act, an atrocity that was committed in that period of governance under Eric Williams, especially with the type of resources that this country had, the division that was created, the hate and the animosity that was propelled, and the misleading, misguided information that people was given, and thinking that everything was right. And once you support this entity, your life will be better and you'll have a future. Not knowing that this man was fooling this country like Jim Jones and misleading us to profit and benefit a certain, well, like Malcolm X would say, the slave masters and them. And that was the agenda. And then it became so rooted into our society and our culture and our lifestyle that every single thing that we eat, sleep, and breathe in politics is politics and corruption. That if you know how to go to the license office, you have to pay a bribe. If you have to go to the police station, you're paying a bribe. If you need water, you have to pay a bribe. If you need lights, you have to pay a bribe. Schools to attend. You ever see a 1% children going to any junior sec or senior sec or any school? And them are so bright. I know plenty of them. These people are done see like a doorknob. And they're the best schools in the country. You understand? And
yeah, go ahead, yes, sir. Go ahead, my friend.
And people don't understand these things. It's only now where I realize if we could have had a government that was really concerned and caring for Trinidad and Tobago and the people, you know what Trinidad and Tobago would have been today? We would have people lining up by the millions around the world to get an opportunity to come to visit Trinidad and Tobago. We would have been refusing people, say, hey, you can't come this year, or let come, I might have bookings and things for your next 20 years. You could check back Trinidad and Tobago that time now. Because this country would have been like a diamond shining in the stars, that people would have been hearing about this Trinidad. All they know is Trinidad and Tobago. That's a nice little island, beautiful beaches, nice people, party. The standard of living so high, like a Dubai kind of something. Instead, they thief out, they rape, they brainwash, they oppress, and this is where we are today. And then to put the final nail in the coffin, who we come and we get? The man they call Keith Rowley. The man who say, from Whitehall to White House. You understand? This is the kind of people. Remember the saying long time, when they say, you had to, oh shit, it slipped my mind, but I'll get it back. Anyway, but this is the scenario that we're in right now in this country. That it ain't too late. We still have some resources and things. We still have people who could think and bring back things to where we might get something better off in this country. And if we don't do that, we go be in a real serious position. And at this present moment in our life, people have to realize that you could be white, you could be black, you could be Indian, you could be African, and things. This has nothing to be who is the leader of what political party. If Stuart Young is the leader of the PNM, and for the last 10 years he was in the PNM and was doing right for the country, I would have voted for PNM. I would have voted for Stuart Young. But you cannot just dust out things like the murder 2 last year, 640, and start over from 1 this year, and that didn't mean nothing. You still have Urla and you still have Fitzgerald Hines there. And then 10 years, you would just say, oh, that never happened. And then Stuart Young, you put you as Prime Minister, and then say, okay, look, all you have this brand new spanking person as a Prime Minister. He gonna do good for your country. You have to be dumb. You have to be dotish. And again, like I say, I didn't know nothing else besides Eric William. He could have been white, black, green, blue, or whatever. I couldn't care if they put Kamaluddin Mohammed, because I wasn't conscious about what politics was that time, because my focus was on developing myself, bettering myself, and coming out of the poverty and thing that we was in. That happened. Now, when you had to realize that, you had to face these scenario, you are your children to raise and all this kind of thing, and how much important politics is for their lifestyle and the benefit of their growth, then you realize you have to get rid of the PNM by all means, because look what happened in Guyana. What were Forbes Burnham put that country to for so long? Look, well, okay, yes, he get the oil and gas reserve, but just imagine if Forbes Burnham or a government of Forbes Burnham had that reserve right now. You feel Guyana would have been looking like how they're looking and the direction they're going? No. And that is the same thing with Eric William and all the PNM government do. All. So it had none of them good, because the entity, the organization is only get to benefit one of thing, oppress the people, and be in government. That is also, you could be who? The entity is bad. Have a good morning again, gentlemen. Take care.
Lennox.
I think I got it. Andy sent it to me. You know, Andy is still working, boy. The man just realized, well, something went wrong, and he sent it to me. Let me see if I can get it on the system here, and it will play. You leave me there, and it will. I will engage it. Of course, I will talk to you momentarily, right? Let me make sure and have it organized, right? And then I will. So yes. The caller is still there.
Next caller.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. The floor is yours, so to speak.
Hey, Lennox. Let me refresh. Paul, he say he ain't on
Let me see what I can do here now.
Right?
We try to, of course,
I know trying to get to my
challenge the technical challenge that we have now.
Right. If Paul is only 55 years, how come you know about Forbes Bonham and them fellas? And the next thing I want to tell Malcolm X, you always attacking the British, right? You know why they brought Indians to work in the cane field? Africans did not have the resilience. So they put them in the oil belt and them easy place to work. The Indian people had to cut sugar cane. So they really had time with the politics. I made them say south of the colony and all this thing. So Hobart Point and all this thing. But the African man did not have the resilience to cut the cane. That's why they brought Indian people to cut cane, Lennox. And gave them fellas nice work in the port and the oil belt and all this thing. Them is facts of life. You must dig up and find out and let people know that, Lennox. That's why the British had to bring them Indians here. They had the resilience. That is it. Basically, Philip Alexander tell you that Indians fight and they take coconut oil flour and split peas and make the national dish, doubles. They survive all of that. So me and Malcolm X talk about Indian have work this and that. Stupidness. You can look at Pennywise and them places. There are no Indian working there. I don't know where Indian people working right now, and I'm to tell you God's truth. I don't know what they're doing for a living, except the double men. Right? So I just want to make it clear to Marco and to Malcolm X, the true situation. Nobody in India, no favor here. No favors. Thank you, boy, Lennox.
All right, so that's all right, good. So I think I have it now. Maybe what we do, you want to put in a bed or something, or we start immediately. I think I can remove myself from in front of it, and it will be playing. The Observer.
One more call.
All right, okay, go ahead.
Morning again, Lennox. Barack Paul here. I am 55 years old, and I could give a history from the first day mankind opened their eyes in this country, because that is me. I like to learn. So if I live in a country and I could learn about what happened in the past, I want to know. So I want to know what happened in I could tell you what happened in the war in Germany. I could tell you what happened the war in Vietnam. That is my love. Is to read and understand and then compare. That is who I am. So not because I'm 55, I only have to know what's the price of pumpkin today. I could find out what's the price of pumpkin 20 years ago. And to let you know about the African and the Indian people and things. It's not that the African people was resilient and they didn't want to work in the thing. You come out from slavery. You came out from slavery and was brutalized and beaten to work in the sugar industry and all this kind of thing. When they when they abolish slavery, and you tell the same African people go back and work in the plantation, in the estate, obviously they had a resistance towards that. It's a mental issue now that, okay, just last month I was beating the blood out of my skin, and now you're telling me now go and cut the cane and work in the cane field and think, no, me about that again. Let somebody else come and do that. And that's what brought the Indian, the Chinese and the Indian people in the cane field. Was not under somebody better than anything. It's the mental brutal treatment that the African people got, being slave, working in the industry. And then when they abolish slavery and things, the people them say, well, you can't want to kill me here and beat me and then tell me, okay, I'm free and I had to do the work now, and is the slave masters them over me? Come on, man, all you use all the sense, all the elderly, and you're talking this kind of stupidness. Huh? Or educate yourself was real. Now, history could be interpreted through the eyes of who want to benefit from it, you know. But reality is a different thing. The truth and the facts is a different thing. When they sent for, in 1842, and they bring down the Indians in the ship to work in Trinidad, they promised them all kind of thing over there. They say all they come into a new land and all they come into a better future and all got a house land and send back millions of dollars to all their family and all this kind of thing. Plenty of that didn't happen. A lot of them didn't want to work here when they come, and they realized that they was misled and misinformed about coming to the Caribbean and working in the sugar plantation. All these is facts. So you can't come and say, oh, the African people was lazy and they didn't want to work in the estate. It had situations why, a reason why they held a kind of silent protest and pretended. You could give an African man a shovel and a load of gravel and he would mix out that in no time. Most of the hard-working people in the country is African people, you see, who was all the carpenter and mason and laying blocks and things. You see, I'm holy. I just put an Indian to go and pop 2 raw blocks, you see, on a tree smoking a cigarette, drinking something, and then going back and knocking 2 blocks and all this kind of thing. Think about what I'll be saying. Have a good morning, Lennox. Take care.
Why, Lennox?
We have another. Trying to see if what we try here could work. Let's see. Let's put it on and see. I believe it could work. Let me just engage. Let me just engage. All right. Let me see. And let me just do this.
It can't work. It's not singing too good.
Huh?
It's not singing too good.
Think coming good? Let me.
Not anything. It can't
You
work.
get anything? You ain't seen anything?
It can't work.
Huh?
It's not working.
All right.
All right.
All right, well then let's go back to normal then. All right, we'll go on to it then. Sorry about that. We tried this. We tried.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, Lennox.
Good morning, good morning.
Lennox, I mean like Barapo. The brother who called in, I will say is a brother, but to me, for somebody who, I don't know what to say. I really don't know how to put it, because it have people like they just wait
for when people call in to criticize, instead of calling in to make a contribution. I would have liked the brother to call in and make a contribution, because it's our people is be just waiting to criticize. You understand? He ever know how much people the British kill, how much Africans the British kill and burn down the place with university and things? He know where go on? Eh? He know when the Africans and them come here in chain and we didn't get no deal like with Barport, like the Indians get a deal. I'm checking Trinidad who are the richest business people right now. Kia, this one, that one. Who is them? Doubles people? Boy, look, you go to hell now, boy.
Yes, indeed. People, of course, when we tried to get the observer in, but we were unsuccessful, so probably we will have to delay that for another time. All right, of course, but we'll go until 10 o'clock this morning. Of course, we will be addressing. There are other issues, of course, that we need to address. Of course, there was, of course, a situation with Carl and an emergency landing. And, of course, unfortunately, I don't know what is really happening in this country. You know, one of the engines run short of fuel, and so they had to effect an emergency landing in a flight from Tobago to, of course, Port of Spain or Piaco. I mean, I just don't understand something like that. So basic that could have, of course, jeopardized all these lives that would have been on that plane. So we have that as well. Of course, if you have voicemails, you will tell me one time. I'm just looking to touch on some other issues here that we have not touched. Of course, no bail for man on kidnapping charge. We have a caller. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Lennox, I ain't call this program to criticize nobody, you know. Bazio Pandey tell you that the Indians suffer the same fate down here under the British. Cut us like first time. Right?
Yeah.
So they ain't get no favor. They fool them. When they come down here to work in the cane fields, they ain't get no bed of roses there, you know. They get licked like first time the same way under the British. Right?
Yeah.
Next caller.
Hi, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. Andy, Mickie, from Tobago, and also the person that we have at the moment. Pleasant good morning, Trinidad and Tobago Central here. Andy, we all are praying for a speedy recovery for you and your family. Goes to Mr. Lennox, Mickie K, and Mr. and Mrs. Amar also. We pray for your guidance and protection, Peter, each and every one of you, all right? Nice. Going forward. Don't matter what you might be facing, Trinidadians, we all are humans, right? And it comes a time every day don't be the same, right, Trinidadians? And we all have to stand as a nation now. And this is not what we're doing in this country. We're not doing that. You see the thing called unity? You all not showing that. We're only showing the vibe. Why we are allowing who is in authorities to do these things and we're following what we're seeing? Now, it had the right thing to set up people, you know. You understand? The ones that's calling and they make the lovely contributions. You understand? That means one in at the head, good on the body. In other words, they know where the grounds are standing on. You understand what I'm saying, Trinidadians? I tell you, this place ain't no country about. This is a madhouse. This place called Trinidad and Tobago is presently a madhouse under this wicked, corrupted, nasty, thieving, lying, PNM government. We in a devastated place right about now, Trinidadians. You understand what I'm saying? And if we do not do the right thing and start changing the mindset from now, I am telling you all, we're going to sound the last note on all of us coffin. You understand what that means? That is all the history, which is all the generation to come, as well to coffin when they're going and put the nail on it. Because there's nothing right now, and there will be nothing in the coming, nothing in the making. Because under this regime, dirty-minded PNM government is nothing add nothing equals nothing, and all you know that. You understand what I'm saying, Trinidadians? This PNM government feels from the day to step in office. And if they really go to have a foreign observers here, PNM get mashed up left, right, and center. The twice that the PNM government was there as a government is the election to go with the big ballot box. Mickie, Lennox, you remember that? When they were working with the big box and asking the woman, we should go with some play like she knew what was going on. You remember that for the last election?
Right. Of course, vent, of course. Don't forget, people, we go until 10 o'clock. So the numbers to call once again, of course, 225-6644.
What I'm telling you all,
225. The person is still there.
Go ahead. Sorry about
that.
Yes, no, that's okay. We all have to keep our minds focused, Trinidadians, and just remember, anytime these people them come in front of the place, or they tell them like it is, they're afraid. Let them know, or they get time for 10 years. And what are they doing for 10 years? Or they want to do it for 5 years? Or they come out of my face, come out of my place, and let's go from here. Because at the end of the day, or they does nothing for nobody, or they do nothing for nobody, or they run down this country, and it's people like all so have the wicked, corrupted PNM government to do what it is today. To do the wrong things that we're doing us today. A blind eye, may God rest all these souls, the 600 and something people, may God rest their soul in peace, but justice will be served to them. Sooner or later, rather than never, people, once again, keep on their head on their bodies. Remember the code is yellow. PNM nothing. Waiting to be buried, written and forgotten. And we moving with anti-cams. Remember that. Yellow is the code, and it's that.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, of course, for that intervention. We continue, of course, to take your calls. Don't forget, we go until 10 o'clock. It's just about, let's say, 17 minutes to the hour, 14 minutes to the hour, so that we have a little more time. So we will continue, of course, with some of your calls. As I said, the numbers to call 225-6644, 225-6644, and 239-5120. 239-5120, and of course the WhatsApp us. We will try to play those voicemails before we leave, before we make our departure. 366-3053, 366-3053. We attempted, of course, to play the Observer from, well, of course, at the time designated, next but we weren't successful. And caller, welcome to the ground report.
Thank you, Lennox. Hey, Lennox, how you doing? Lennox, I'm calling from Madras Road.
And all the best, all the best to you and your family for 2025.
Thank you, and same to you and your family. I still watch your show every night, but I don't call because when I call, we have a few callers that will just get so angry because they hate my accent and they think I'm smarter than they are, and they get very angry and they vent. So that's okay because that's a human.
Don't bother with that. Do what you have to do and let the rest take care of itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, for yes, because I do have a thick skin. I've been around the block many times.
I know that. You've been around enough
but I think I
develop that resistance. Yes.
Thank you, and I really think now that we are seeing the light of what's happening in the United States. We have to pay attention now, not just saying vote the PNM out and UNC is great. We have to say where are we going from here and how do we make this place better. You see, Suniti Maharaj, the woman, one of the members of parliament, made a really good comment. She said we never really needed to depend on foreign aid. We have everything right here. In fact, we have everything across South America, the whole Caribbean. We've helped build first world nations because of our resources here. A caller had called and said oil was discovered here in 1906, way before, way late. 1906, later after sugarcane was almost destroyed, right, by the British. They didn't want it anymore because they were mass producing it in other colonies that they owned. And so what my thing is, my position is, we have to create good allies that help our country, because when you have good allies, you have good trade. And we cannot have a president like Mr. Trump calling these shots on everyone just on a whim, saying, I'm going to sanction you, I'm going to sanction you, I'm going to have tariffs 50%. And Brazil is a good example. They don't like socialism. They hate, United States don't like socialism. They don't like communism. They like people like the rich people like Elon Musk. They like people like Bill Gates, who actually, Bill Gates is in Africa. And Bill Gates is in Africa because you know why? Microsoft sells all of their computers to all the African governments. He depends on them to buy their software. And they spend billions of dollars buying Microsoft software to utilize here. We do the same thing here. What I'm saying to you, Lennox, and people who are listening is that we have the resources here. We have the knowledge and the education. We just don't have the foundation to build on that. You know, University of the West Indies is a crap. Half the students who get out can't get jobs. They go into government jobs where you have lazy government workers, lax workers. And a good example would be Caribbean Airlines. They're very lazy in their maintenance. And we have a minister of tourism who really doesn't promote the real beauty of the country. They're showcasing wine and dance and crazy carnival. And when you pick up the newspaper, I'm not going off on a tangent. All you're seeing is half-naked women with big bumpers. And when you hear on the radio, the song is Big Bumpers. You don't really hear the really intelligent stuff that builds a nation that want to do good trade. Half of the carnival costumes end up in Vegas anyway with the showgirls. But let me go back to what we need to do here. You see, China is very, very important to us. And I don't like China because I feel like they don't step up to the plate. But now is the time for China to really step up and replace the United States in all of that funding. China gives Trinidad a lot of vehicles for the police. Most of our vehicles come from China for free. And the police don't give a damn because they're driving and they're crashing, putting cars in the ocean, doing all kind of nonsense because it's free. They don't know the value of what we're getting and what we need to do to make it better so we could help everybody in this country. What China needs to do is step up to the plate and replace the funding for the Red Cross. Come in here in the Caribbean and help us provide aid in the form of better education. Share technology with us. United States not sharing technology. Prime Ministers, I'm not supporting the Prime Minister. Prime Minister said that a few years ago, he said that the United States gave us scanners for our ports. And you know what he said? After 6 months, these scanners were broken. He said because they gave us, you should use scanners. Now, we don't need to go cap in hand begging the United States. They need us because they're scared of Venezuela. Venezuela has a strong military. We don't have one. That's why our borders are very porous. That's why our workers who work in the border patrol and police, they're lax. Because we have created this lackadaisical attitude derived from the United States because they're giving us cheap handout. When you give crumbs to people, they'll keep coming for more crumbs. You throw a bone for a dog, they're gonna come for more bones. I'm telling you, we have to wake up, and it's not about slavery and all this nonsense. It's over. All of that is done. Indentured laborship is done. Now it's time to create a new environment where we really put our knowledge to work and utilize the resources we have, which is human resources. And also minerals we have here. We have great agriculture. We could produce anything. The problem we have is that we have a government, decades after decades, new government, and they're throwing things at us, fooling us that we have the infrastructure for it. And they're saying, yeah, use it, but we don't. You can't give out free laptop when people don't have internet access. Some areas in our country don't have internet access. Look at those. A lot of our schools don't have good chairs and desks, and we could build those things here. We don't need to import plywood from America or cheap wood. We could import and export from our own region and make it richer. We don't need to ship in the ocean all the way up to Europe and all those places. We have it right here in the whole CARICOM and Caribbean. Even our LNG, we don't need to depend on the United States. We could do our whole LNG to the whole CARICOM. You know, United States sell the most LNG to Jamaica and to Dominican Republic. Why are we, and where are we? Where are we? And they set the price. You see, our Prime Minister pussyfoots around these issues. He slowly say things, but he will never come out and say things because he knows he has to go to the United States for healthcare. What a shame. Running to healthcare in the United States when he could go to Cuba. when he could stay right here or go to Colombia or one of the other countries and let's work and make it better? But no. You see, they've handicapped us. The United States have handicapped us since colonialism prior to that. And Mr. Trump is showing the true colors. He is showing, hey, look at all you need us more than we need all you. So anyway, that is my comment. And if all you hate the comment, well, I'm sorry, but I feel like we need to wake up now.
Don't spoil it by, of course, making that comment. No, you made a comment, and that is your position. We are here only too glad to accommodate, because, of course, we'll have differences in opinion. But what we would always agree to is that we will defend to the hilt your right to speak, and therefore, of course, that is healthy. All right, so don't ever feel that you must compromise at the end of a very brilliant presentation. All right, thanks very much, of course, for your intervention. Of course, we will go until 10 o'clock. We have, of course, 10 more minutes. We have another caller, or we have a or we have voicemails. Well, go ahead, caller.
Yeah, Silver Fox here again.
Yes, go ahead, Silver Fox.
Now, let me say something. Let me say something to people. China might give you something. And this is something you have to learn in life. There are nothing in this world is for free. Nothing people give you in this world is for free. It always have a comeback for something, and you can't say no. So don't tell me about they give us Chinese give us this, Chinese give us that, right? If let me understand something. You talking about Venezuela's strong military and things. Venezuela don't have no strong military. Right? The things they have is ancient machines. Right? So stop misleading the people. Trinidad and Tobago, we depend on the US. We depend on America. Right? Not because Trump coming into power. Trump is fixing America. He want to make America great again, and he want to make the people great again. It's up to our government to make we great. Look how much oil boom passed through this country. Look the state of Trinidad and Tobago. Look the state of us. And now you coming here and talking of such I don't know how gosh. Right? We have to make Trinidad and Tobago great again. And the only way is to remove the PNM from power. The only way. When you're coming and talking about the hell with America and this and that, what message you're sending? What message you're sending? Who you want to take? China? Communists? You know what's going on with the people in China? They don't even have equal rights and justice up there. They can't even talk. You talk out against the government, you're gone. You go in some place that nobody never see you again. That's what let us want. You have freedom. Let me tell you something. If the British didn't have a warship out in the Caribbean Ocean, this country have no protection. This country would have taken over already. This country would have gone through with somebody already if they didn't have a warship out there. And all coming here to talk a pack of rubbish about China and China and China. What you telling me about China? When all the children want to run somewhere to learn something, is America all running? Is America going China? And then some of you go call and talk about let me tell you something. Let me say something one time here. You see, history is the greatest teacher, and we have to learn from history. If one don't know his history, and if one don't know history, he don't know nothing in this world. It's not because one young and one old. The one younger could know more history than the old one because his brain is better most of the time, right? And some things I want to say I can't say. Let me give somebody else a call because time running out. Thank you.
Go ahead, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we have another call.
No.
We have any voicemails?
We have voicemail.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we could play them out. We just have about 2 more minutes, really. 2 more. 6 more minutes, so we should be able to. So, people, of course, it has been a wonderful morning. Of course, don't forget, Andy is not with us only because he was feeling under the weather last night, and of course, he is now being attended to at a medical institution. All right.
Yeah, Andy, my brother, morning time. Here, not here, under the weather. But I pray to God that you recover and stuff, And if it's the cold you come down with or wherever, infection, wherever, you have a little plant you could use called periwinkle. People that use it for ornaments in their yard. Because that one or two people around me here was coming on with the sore throat, and I tell them they could use it, and that I made work to ease the problem. The problem with the sore throat is concerned, but it have more other benefits besides.
This lady is the Est.
Andy, Lennox. Hello.
Yeah, is that live? Well, if you're live, of course, we are here.
Let's use that Garaha, that donkey, that Madras woman who called and talk the whole program to talk rubbish. The woman, the infrastructure. We have no infrastructure in Trinidad because the government, the PNM government woman who you support, killed the infrastructure in Trinidad. Okay? You was an illegal immigrant, they run you out of America, so you went to that, now you're back to take care of your mother. Stop being a fool. That woman they call didn't do any Senate. I listen to she say one thing good and 99 things wrong. So I don't know what that Madras woman coming and talking. I said a rubbish woman. I listen to you all the time, and that's why all the radio station ban you. Because you come there and spill lies. You want the Chinese to come out and take over Trinidad and become a communist country. What kind of donkey you are? You're a donkey woman. You a Chinese come and take over. You want to live a communist country? You were trying to become a communist like how Rowley running country. Like you love Rowley then. Let's put it this way. You are a Rowley lover. Because if that's the attitude and style you have, you love Rowley. Because they couldn't stop the truck passing in the road and make a big hole. Because if they know what the truck, you don't like that. Woman, Lennox, this one calling program thing all this time wasting people time listening to the program. Listening to she spew a set of idiotic thing. I'm talking about this and that and we're interested. We have no infrastructure. The PNM government that she love and kiss the rare damage the infrastructure and everything is keep all the money. What she had about to get rid of Rowley and Sindhu and all of them. Huh? You're talking about this one. She goes just now she'll call us all and Kamla bad. Kamla do nothing for the people. And this Gadaha, I have to call I don't want to call she a jackass, but this Gadaha is an idiot. So she don't call you.
I hear you. Of course, people have different opinion. Of course, I know that none of the callers have any thin skin. I think their skins are thin, and of course, those kinds of should I say degradatory comments will certainly bounce off. Well, let me put it that way, because as I said, we are facilitator, and of course, everybody who have an opinion, some may agree, some may disagree, but what we agree to, of course, is to disagree. We have another caller?
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah. Good morning again. Good morning again once more, Mr. Lennox, and to everybody on the line. Mr. Lennox, first let me say this first. You see that Madras lady who was speaking earlier on? Forget that woman, and that woman got trapped. Right? Anyway, I'm moving on. See what happened now? I watched the news last night, right? And media in this country here. Just imagine. Munilal make a comment about the immigration situation in America, right? And he bring forth a lot of things that is consistent with what happening with what Trump is doing. You know the media, this fake media. You imagine them dramatize that and bring it across in a way to make Munilal look like if Munilal don't know what he's speaking about. I say, about these people, they be mad. As like them to watch foreign news and see what is going on or what? You understand? But let me tell you something. You see that PNM propaganda machine? Yeah. When we learn talk about the straight jacket business or the other thing.
I'm sure eventually they will realize that there's some. You see, I have absolute faith in the opposition, and when they don't speak Vikey or reckless like Rowley, and when they speak, they have the information part. So I'm sure that sometime in the future you will see that, because Caribbean Airlines, they come out and support, of course, what the Minister of Tourism has been saying, that it is not true, etc., etc. That people from Trinidad, certain sections are being overly inspected. Some of them are being frisked and so on. But I sincerely believe that is happening, having regard, of course, to what Trump executive orders are as far as deportation is concerned, and how they are treating, of course, foreigners or migrants. But go ahead, my friend,
right,
because
we lost our one there. Take a lock off there.
You finish?
When it's 10 o'clock.
Right, yes, of course. Well, it is 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock now.
Yes. So that's it. We don't have any more calls, right? No calls tonight. All right, people, we have come to the end of today's program. You have a little bed you want to play with of course, the music of the ground report, or we going out just by talking. But I want to thank you, of course, for filling in at short notice. That's how the cookie crumbles. Of course, once again, Andy, is under the weather, and he is, of course, taking medical treatment at this point in time. And let's hope that everything work out. Of course, our prayers is with him, collectively and individually. And of course, tomorrow morning, of course, Andy, Mickie, and myself. Don't forget, of course, that tonight the Observer. No, I don't know if the Observer is on tonight. But just in case, just observe to see. Let me just say that. And of course, tonight for sure, the corridor transformation will be on. We'll be discussing about these and other, and some of what we have failed to discuss this morning, and others tonight, as we look for solutions on the corridor transformation, particularly along the east-west corridor. That being as it may, have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless, and see you tonight in the case of corridor, and of course in the case of the ground report. See you tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. So I can cut off now? Can I cut off now?
The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.